Noga, Bruce Mello, and myself, Dot Maggio. Also present is our recording clerk, Vanessa Ballou, our highway supervisor, Everett Mark-Bills, resident extraordinaires, Mike DeSocio and Marie Tattersall, and our municipal technical assistance person, Meg Fowley, correct? Maggie Fowley, who will be sharing some time with us this evening. Thank you very much. Are there any changes at this time to the agenda?
I buried my agenda. Did I bury it?
You wanna look at?
Yeah, let me look at yours. The only thing I can think of is on town planning, if there are any reports from Energy Committee and Town Planning Committee, we haven't
Done anything, right?
met for
Right,
a
we can
while.
just,
Yeah,
when it comes up,
that's gone.
we skip.
It's
Okay.
tabled.
So there's no planning commission and there's no energy committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda? So we're tabling B and C of number 8.
Yeah.
Okay, members of the public scheduled member, Maggie Foley for our municipal technical assistance program, through Wyndham Regional Commission. And Maggie has sent to us some, summaries from her working with the committee. I was not at that meeting, but,
Does anybody
swing on over if you'd like.
What's that?
Does anybody want a copy that doesn't have one? The summary of
The needs assessment.
the needs assessment that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, there's sort of an overview and then a list of possible projects.
Yeah.
And
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I had a great time visiting in November. Well, I'm glad I made my first trip here when it was light out.
Yes.
Prepare me for the dark trip tonight. And what I prepared was a summary narrative of kind of the strengths and challenges of the town. That's really just a contextual document. There's not much that we need to do with that right now, but I hope it is helpful for you all, especially those that could not be at the meeting, to hear what was discussed. And from there, we have a list of projects that we've brainstormed. And I think this is valuable in reflecting community input, what is on people's minds in terms of what Brookline can and should be doing. And from there, I would love the town to start thinking about those projects on the brainstorm list and helping shape and refine and prioritize them as the next step. My next step in my work is to look at the projects that you've prioritized and start matching them with potential funding sources. And so when you see the projects brainstormed, you can see that a lot of them are very preliminary ideas to some more advanced ideas that have shape. And what I want to do as the next step is hear from you all what catches your eye there in terms of priorities. If there's things that the town has been talking about over many years, if there's a project that it feels like it might be appropriate to try to secure some planning funding, or if there's a project that's ready for implementation. Then I start to hear from the town, based on what we gathered from community members, what the priorities might be. And I recognize that we have really limited time tonight. And I recognize that it's been a really busy time of year for a lot of you. And so I am happy to start hearing your thoughts tonight and know that that conversation might need to continue, or to just make a plan for how we want to do that prioritizing work together.
Well, that's what I just wrote down at the very end. How does the board want to collaborate on the priorities? We have a long meeting tonight. And I don't know if you wanted to have a separate meeting, a daytime meeting, or another community-based meeting. What's your pleasure?
What time frame do we have to play with in making that kind of a decision? I mean, I know you met yesterday maybe with the LCT.
I have not met with the LCT on your projects because I actually wanted to get a little bit more shape from them. So search for funding. Katie and her partner Bonnie up there have some really creative thinking about funding, so I'm gonna use that as a resource. The timing, Stan, frankly, it's gone back and forth a little bit. When I first signed on to this project, my understanding was the needs assessment should be done in the fourth quarter of this year, and then the opportunity assessment matching to funding could happen in the first quarter of next year.
Right.
2 weeks ago, when I kind of pushed to get on this agenda, we had heard that you should really have your projects defined by about today, like towards the end of December. And since then, that has again shifted to, oh, that's okay, there's flexibility in terms of the projects are defined. So I'm following, but there is a shifting landscape, and so I'm just looking to move things along at the pace that we can all work comfortably and trust that we will align with deadlines eventually. They are considering extending MTAP funding, I think through the end of 2026, that already is through the end of 2025. So we're certainly early in the process. My work can continue. I don't want a grant opportunity to come up in 2 weeks and feel like if we had moved a little quicker, you guys might have been prepared to submit an application, or I would have been prepared to submit an application on your behalf. I don't want to miss any opportunities. That said, I really recognize that this year-end time has been challenging. We've been doing a lot of hazard mitigation work, so I don't want to rush anybody either.
Well, I mean, I can see someone looking at policy development for unregistered vehicles,
Mhm.
that's on a list, that's not a difficult project. But planning to take out the curve on a
Yeah.
road, or, doing the bicycle, sort of writing that.
And certainly that list includes ideas that will need funding and some ideas that just need community collaboration to make them happen, that are kind of fall outside a little bit of what we'll be pursuing. And so that's a sorting project in and of itself, and prioritizing project there too.
Well, there was a survey that was sent around by VLCT late last week, I believe, and I did fill it in, and I did express the fact that the timing of this was difficult because it's at the end of the year. We had another disaster. It's coming time for budget. It's coming time for town meeting, and town booklets are gonna be put together, and the planning's got to go together, the committees, the audit. All those things I said, impinging on it, and I said, it's too bad that there couldn't be more flexibility. And I'm glad to hear that you're getting some indication that there can be. I'm wondering if, it's probably gonna take several days at least. I was hopeful that maybe we could have a special meeting sometime next week to go over any unfinished budget, but it is Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, and we can make a party out of it, That's just a positive thought.
Right, I hear you.
Yeah,
No, so, if we, to me, it looks like at this point, maybe the first full week at the end, in January might be a time to get back to you with more definitive things. But on the other hand, if something that comes across your desk says there's immediate response, I think that we ought to have the flexibility to jump on that and give you some guidance so that we don't miss out on something big. Maybe we all gotta be flexible at this point, maybe. I don't know how that sounds.
I'm thinking yes, the flexibility is important. I'm thinking if I do schedule a 10-minute period, if everybody does their research, reads through, understands that, comes up with some ideas, I can put a 10 or 15-minute section in the January 3rd meeting. But again, we're working on town trying to get the town report out. That's the issue. So I don't wanna take away, next week. I mean, I don't know.
should we also consider, like Dan was at the meeting and he's online,
Right.
and Marie's here. And Chuck was at the meeting. So you were out of town.
He was, I was not.
Yeah, you were out of town, but I'm thinking, we should maybe set a tentative date and see what others can join. And probably a little later than January 3rd in terms
We could
of
do it on the weekend of the 6th
a weekend or,
or Friday the 5th.
I'm completely flexible, whatever one meets everyone
yeah,
else's
I don't
schedule.
remember what I'm.
But right now you're talking about the idea of a special meeting not being on the agenda, just a
Well,
special meeting.
Well,
Giving you
I
some
can put it on the agenda too, on the 3rd. I can put some time on the agenda just to pull up our
See if
select board
Okay.
thoughts.
But I do like the idea of a special meeting in that I think there's a fair amount of substantive discussion that can happen if people could make the time for it. There's a lot of ideas there, and it will take some conversation to have them take shape a little bit.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things on there was the meeting house, so I think that would definitely be cool. We should talk to, and I know I'm was standing there on our planning commission and I thought, I've had people express interest and can we see what some of he's got the ideas they came up with,
Okay.
you know, so. Yeah, so
So I'm gonna put a flexible 10 minutes on the January 3rd agenda for us to be prepared to solidify it.
Okay.
And then possibly have a special meeting on the
Yeah,
5th.
the 5th
It's it's a Friday.
Okay.
I don't know, what is there a weekday or a weekend or better for this?
You know what,
Because
Doc?
that's fine with me.
Just in case of budget, why don't you push the special meeting back to one more Friday on the 12th?
Okay,
On 12.
on the 12th, you want it on the special meeting for?
Just, you know, like
Like,
tentative.
would it be a select board meeting? No, it would be a municipal technical assistance program meeting.
Yeah, a special technical assistance
Assistance program to invite the public back in to make sure
Just
that
to
they've
make sure-
reviewed over this and
Yeah.
to pick our.
So Friday, January 12th?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, yeah, because I just know how things can happen with the
Oh,
budget.
yes. Friday.
What time on Friday?
Do we wanna do it earlier, like
Yeah.
4
4.
or 3 in the
So just like
afternoon?
in the morning.
3 is good. Oh,
Or
that's
you wanna-
right. That's
could
right.
you
I have an
attend?
I can
energy
attend
meeting.
anytime on Friday the 12th.
A what meeting?
I have an
For
energy
me, would a
meeting.
daytime meeting be better, like at 10 o'clock?
Anything's fine, Doc.
Okay, Dan Towler. Can you hear me, Daniel?
He's not
Push your
responding.
microphone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Would you be interested in joining like a 10 o'clock meeting on Friday, the 12th of January to pinpoint how the municipal technical assistance program can work based upon the most recent assessment? Would you be interested in a daytime meeting?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Okay, very good. So we're gonna do it tentatively on the 12th at 10 o'clock.
May I ask 2 more questions?
Yes,
More
sir.
questions? I'm running out of time. As we move towards that, there's a few things that flagged for me, of the ideas that I want to bring to you in case there's any movement in the meantime. There is a distant chance, and I want to make sure not to get people's hopes up, but that, the MTOP program, could start considering planning, additional funding for planning projects beyond my work. And what I have seen in other towns is interest in flood resilience hydrology studies, work that has come up on your list of priorities. And if that opportunity opens up, I anticipate a lot of towns will want to move, and I would want to move quickly for you. And so I did see that interest in looking at flooding and topography, and thought that might be a project to pull together more quickly if that opportunity opened up. In addition, I've heard a lot of interest in discussion around shared services, which was a real emphasis of the conversation here, including additional administrative capacity shared between towns. There's some interest from the LCT in looking for towns to pilot shared administrative capacity between towns. And I thought I heard that Brookline might be interested in that as well. And if I know from your preliminary interest, as I have those conversations, I will see if there's a place to kind of seize an opportunity. Okay. So I understood those correctly, that
Those are
that kind
2
of-
that are big priorities.
okay, yeah, I thought I understood that from priorities.
Who would you call your point person here in Brookline? Just want to step on any toes.
I have point people.
Point people.
Brookline's great, so I have 2 point people, which is Stan and Simone.
I'm sorry?
Or they know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so what you're saying is,
Yeah,
if there's a
stick
chance to accelerate, do it.
Yeah,
Right?
just stick with your point people, and then they'll communicate as needed to the rest of us.
Great.
All right?
I got, yes, Stan.
In addition to the hydraulic studies, if you heard of any funding for engineering studies for culverts and so forth, if funding is available for that, that would be just equally as important.
Yeah.
Part of the part and parcel of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been warned many ways to not sound
Promising.
optimistic.
Yes.
Into, so but I just wanted, but I also need to know what your priorities are in case that becomes a thing we can look into. I will look into it.
The engineering studies themselves are $50,000, $60,000. I know it's very expensive, but
One other question, if I may. When you were here, there were a number of topics that had a lot of activity around them and then those that were less so. Did you look at any statistical analysis of how much of what the individuals
The
here?
papers were up over
Yeah,
there and we
yeah.
had climate resilience. I didn't do a statistical analysis of that partly because we had, there was significant overlap, as you know, with the projects. And so it wasn't really, and some of them were, I don't want to say miscategorized, but could be categorized in a few different ways. And so if you see this project list, it actually does not have the 5 MTAP categories. If you end up, identifying, let's say your top 3 to 7, 3 to 10 priorities, I will create a spreadsheet and you'll see what MTAP category they're in, which was the climate resilience and community development, water and wastewater. Certainly you have a lot of visually remembering on community development and also workforce development and community resilience. What was called. I am hearing that as much as projects can be framed in terms of resilience, that is getting a lot more mileage than development. So I will be sure to frame things up.
Thank you.
anybody else would like to?
Awesome. I'll hold that Friday. It's great working with you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Time.
Have a
Yeah,
safe trip back home.
Thank you.
All right, yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Well, I put the lights on, so it's a little brighter. When I walk in,
You're
there's
safer
no
on the
lights on.
feet.
Okay. Are there any unscheduled members of the agenda items? Marie, you're on agenda item.
I'm just here for the agenda.
Okay. And Daniel, do you have anything else besides any particular thing you'd like to share, or are you just here to follow along with our agenda?
No, I was just here to follow along. Thank you.
And Mr. Tanza, are you here for a particular agenda item, or are you here for our budgeting?
I'm here for the budgeting.
Perfect. All right, at this time then, we shall move to the review of the minutes, review and adopt the final minutes from the December 6th regular meeting. We'll start with that one first. We have 5 pages. Any changes or edits from page 1 of 5?
Why does it say December 13th?
Well, because we had 2 meetings, December
Oh, okay.
6th and December 13th.
Sorry, I have the wrong, I have one and not the other.
Oh, okay.
The
Um,
13th, no, this, yeah, never mind.
Any changes to page 2 of 5?
No, but I just wanted to answer a question about D. Are we all set with the portal for that 21 storm since
I
17?
can answer that. As of today, yes, except Saturday morning, Melissa and I are gonna get together and double check some stuff on the Putney Mountain thing, but it's all up. Every document is updated.
Okay, that's all I have
Fantastic.
there.
That's a lot of work. Thank you very much.
Boy,
Yes, thank Melissa.
without a
Yeah,
doubt,
well, both of them.
Yeah.
yes.
without a doubt.
Any reviewed items for page 3 of 5?
Yes.
Yes, sir. What
On
number?
10, number 3.
10-3, calls Green Mountain Power.
Oh, rather wrong. Page 3.
Page
Number
3 of
10.
5,
Reports and updates.
10A3, Green Mountain Power.
10A3, Green Mountain
Am I
Power.
reading the wrong? Am I doing the wrong agenda? Am I in the wrong minutes? You're doing 6? The
Yes,
6?
you're doing 6.
How did I screw that up?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. This is what I have.
This is page 3. It says new business, budget planning, warrant orders, reports and updates.
I'm sorry.
Page 3.
He's on the 13th. That's the head page.
Did I switch them around?
I do.
You must have.
Okay, never mind for now, I guess.
You want an extra one that's compiled? Would that help? Or
I don't know
is
if
it-
anything will help me.
Together. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That's okay, Vanessa.
Page,
I'll follow along if I find him.
page 4 of 5, I have one edit, and it's probably because I put it wrong in the agenda. It's down in number 11A, number 4. The website address is www.brooklinevt.com.
Okay.
I know I put it on the agenda wrong.
Yes, that's right. Excuse me?
www.
No, it's www.brooklinevt.com.
Excuse me?
Bruce?
back to page 3, reports and updates, so I have, what's wrong with what I have wrong?
Highway supervisor, excavator,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
registered.
It's not a big deal, it's just number 2, Mark's abbreviated name is wrong, so that's what.
Oh,
yes.
Everett Mark Bills, B.
And I asked that, okay, so I wasn't brain dead like you just.
Any changes or edits from page 5 of 5? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, December 6th with the additions and changes so noted. May I have a second?
Okay,
Seconded by Bruce. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as edited for Wednesday, December 6th, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. At this time, I'd like to take a look at the minutes from the special select board meeting from Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. There were 3 pages. Does anybody have any edits or comments for page 1 of 3? I did not. Anybody have any changes or edits for page 2 of 3?
okay,
Bruce?
on appropriations, D, shouldn't that be all the way to the last sentence, not SEPCA, but Sevens? Appropriation of 1590 for the summer, and we put and 500 was approved at the 2023.
Second,
That's not SEPCA, it's Sevens.
right, it's so that you're correct. I'll give you the correct name. The appropriation request for $1,590 was through the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, Sevens, SEVEDS, Advancing Southern Vermont. And that was,
Now I lost me.
Brattleboro Development.
Oh, you
Credit
got it. You got it. You can
So
keep
thank
it.
you for catching. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I missed it.
Do something else. Wrong.
Any other changes on page 2 of 3? Changes on page 3 of 3? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, December 13th, special select board meeting as amended. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Noga. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next is warrant orders. Straightforward. I'd like to make a motion to approve the payroll warrant number 2424 dated 12/20/23 in the amount of $13,452.01. May I have a second? Seconded by Samara. Any discussion?
It was printed on the 15th. You said dated 12/20.
But it's, the date on the warrant itself is the 20th, today's date.
Okay,
So,
all righty.
right, it was,
I get you. All right, sure.
so.
Thank you.
All those in favor of approving the payroll warrant 2424 dated 12/20/23 in the amount of $13,452.01 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, I'll pass it around. You need to sign. While that's going around. I'd like to make a motion through accounts payable warrant 2425 dated December 20th, 2023 in the amount of $18,723.23. May I have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion?
What happened with the Coda and Coda and the school? Is that something that has been carried forward from the past, or is this new?
no, it's their yearly contract.
That's the yearly contract for filing. The $125 service call, what all charge
That's what he said.
was paid. If that's what you're.
That was last time.
That, okay, but you,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving accounts payable warrant 24-25 for $18,723.23, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, any abstentions? All right, I'll pass this around for you to sign. While you're doing that signature, I can take a look at the bids for the arborist work, the RFP. I received one bid only from an arborist. Mark, you had how many inquiries?
Just two.
You had 2 inquiries, but only one bid came in. I double checked. Okay, I have the copy of the advertisement and the actual bid, so I did print it out, but I didn't read it, so hang on. Okay, all right, the bid for, the hazard tree removal in the town of Brookline, there was one quote number 2165 submitted by Carr Tree and Timber on December 18th by Henry Carr, an ISA certified arborist. The tree removal project, he has a scope of work which includes, I'll pass this around, stumping, felling trees, chipping brush, leaving wood roadside, breaking and blowing, time and basis material. They're gonna start with 1 day of work, complete work by the priority as per Mark bills. Additional time may be added by written request from the town. Additional written quote will be provided only if it's required by the town or if the scope of work changes. It's going to include a tree crew, an arborist, a climber, a bucket truck, log debris truck, large chipper with a winch, chipper, dump truck, skid steer with grapple and buckle, all necessary tools, riggings, fuels, Bluetooth helmet, communications for crew, and any disposal fees. All tree work will be done in accordance with the ANSI performance standards, to provide 2 certified flaggers and sign packages for the road as required by law for the duration of their project. And the total package price, it's $3,000 for the tree work, 8 hours worth of flagging, 2 certified flaggers, for another additional $800. So the total bid is for $3,800. And the bid did come with, quote, certificate of liability and a W-9 form. I'm gonna pass this around. If you want to take a look at it, and when it comes back to me, I'll make a motion.
So that was the only bid?
That was the only bid.
And did they come and take a look at the trees?
They did, they called and made an appointment to, go out and look, and I had them all flagged, and he asked questions, and I told him,
How many trees, just out of curiosity, I couldn't remember.
10 at this time, and I told him, I showed him others if he has time, so he felt that then it will take him the full 8-hour day.
So what about the other ones? I mean,
That'll be it. He'll do what he can in an 8-hour day, and then, I'll make arrangements depending on what the board wants to spend. Like I say, there's hundreds of trees that are, evolving into the same categories day after day, so, if we do 1 day at 3,800 and the town wants to spend another day, I can set up another dozen trees. You know, I showed him, if he gets those done, there's trees near the locations that need removal as well. So, you know, in the meantime, if we have something that's emergency, he'll.
Yeah, he is a preferred vendor. We call him an emergency work. We have
Right.
that.
But, you know, basically the ones I showed him are the ones my personal opinion were the most hazardous ones that I could locate.
And he said that he would do in the cover email, so that he would get them done in January and February, which is
Yeah,
good, solid. Good.
Okay, good. Same time?
Could I just ask a question, Dot? I noticed that Mark has taken a lot of trees down behind Susie's Little Peanuts. Is it something that he can do some of that work himself?
If he could, he would, but he can't, not the hazard trees that are, that he's picked up. Those are trees he can't do.
Oh, okay, thank you.
As part of my job, I go around town and keeping an eye on, if there's any that I can remove, I do that on a regular basis. And these are some that are more of a challenge, more dangerous, so therefore we're calling in the specialists.
Right. Yes, Marie?
Chuck and I had some work done by Tree a few months ago on our property owner in Marlboro. They were amazing. Their equipment is so well suited for what they're doing. Their people are well trained, they're hard workers. And it was just a very, very good experience for us. And
Right.
he's
I've also had work done
but boy, he's good.
Yeah, the safety features were something that I was impressed with.
Yeah.
When they were there working in that, going up no streets.
Like a squirrel,
It's the monkey up in his thing.
squirrel with a chainsaw. I've also called, Green Mountain Power is coming to, look at a tree that's hovering over, power lines in town.
And as we all know, that there was a tree that came down,
Oh, yeah,
this on Monday,
Yeah,
plus power
you know
outage.
what, Mark? Come to think about it, we have two ash trees that are within like 2 feet of major power lines on our, we call Green Mountain Power. So if the next time you call them, you can
all right.
cite those two. They came and put ties on them, but nobody ever came and cut them down.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of the contracted line crews that do all their arborist
I know.
work have gone north week after week for.
Yeah, for their issues.
So a lot of these calls, are second priority, I guess, as we get.
$1 a tree.
We had several trees along our driveway that were touching
Okay.
electrical wires. And over a 5-year period, we had called several times. And just last year, finally, they came. So I don't know what to make of their request or response to request for tree service. So, you know, that was very frustrating. When I asked the worker why it took so long, he said, well, we're in this process right now of looking at the circuits of electrical transmission wires. And as we dedicate ourselves to clearing up these kinds of dilemmas per circuit, we go to the next circuit. And in your case, it just happened to take that long. So I don't know how that fits into spot calls for
Yeah,
things. It's puzzling.
yeah, they used to use, baby tree.
I'm gonna,
Yeah, let's make a motion. Let's move.
we're already late.
Yeah.
7-year cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve, to accept the bid from Car Tree and Timber for the total price of $3,800 for hazard tree removal during the months of January and February here in Brookline. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the bid of $3,800 for tree work in the town of Brookline signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Shall I give this to you for the contract?
If you'd like, yeah.
All right.
I know somebody who can do it.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. I'll email Henry Carr and tell him to be expecting to hear from us, Mr. Nova, for that process. Perfect, thank you. All right, now we're down to, you know what, I am going to, for Maurice,
Go to the,
I'm gonna switch something in the agenda so that, Marie, if you don't mind, just so we can get you, okay. I should have changed this earlier. I'm gonna move the agenda item, number 7A up at this time.
if you don't mind.
And
Don't
objecting
mind.
at all.
Okay. As you all know, the town of Brookline has invested in the CUD with DV fiber. We were one of the first towns to join up. And in order to do so, they asked for representation from the different communities. And we have Donald Demain, who was our DV fiber representative. He asked to be on the alternate side of it because of his workload. And Mrs. Marie Tattersall has asked the town if she would accept an appointment as our representative to the DV fiber CUD for getting internet access and throughout high-speed internet access through town. We're probably going to be, Brookline will be in phase 3, and they're sort of like just not quite starting phase 2 yet, so it's not real evident, but
It's a ways off.
yes. All right, so I'm going to make a motion for this board to appoint Marie Tattersall as our representative to the DV fiber CUD at this time. May I have a second?
Yeah.
All right, second from Bruce. Any further discussion? Marie, I know you'll serve us well. Thank you so very much, and don't hesitate to contact me or anybody else if you have any. There's a lot of meetings. I don't know, a lot of them are Zoom though.
A lot of them
So,
are Zoom.
yes, and they
What do you-
cancel a lot too.
What do you need from me?
If there's something that comes up during a meeting that you have a question about, just give me a call. We can talk about it. If it needs to come to the select board, I'll bring it to the select board. But other than that, once in a while, we might ask for a summary or report or
Right.
okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Marie Tattersall as our representative to the DV fiber signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, Marie. I'll get this in the mail.
Thank
and
you.
Send you a copy. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you for moving that up.
All right. You're welcome to stay there because I know you like numbers.
Well, I'm hoping to be on the finance committee with DB Fiber.
Okay.
Yeah?
Oh, good. Excellent. They've
Okay.
accumulated quite a bit of money in their budget, I've noticed. So
There's a lot of work to get done.
I know. Well, thank you again.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Marie.
All right, we're gonna go back to the agenda, item 7B, budget planning for 2024-2025. Continue with salary review, appropriations, general and highway funds.
6 p.m.
Salary review. No, Melissa, don't you, no, you want to pull up a chair? Oh, you perfect timing.
I know.
Timing is right. Thank goodness.
Okay. Oh, you may have been any other than hide and.
I was.
Oh. I was like,
That was sleazy.
it was clever. Okay. That's exactly what I would have done.
Scott, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Right from the page 1 of the budget up on the top where we have state clerk fees and so forth. Have you, I've plugged in some numbers. I don't know if you have any of those numbers on your worksheets.
What numbers did you plug in? I'm sorry.
I plugged in clerk fees for revenue at $6,000.
Okay,
Okay.
see,
Because we had,
we haven't done it yet.
no, it
Dog
was,
license.
$4,000 there.
so you,
it's 6,000?
6,000?
Yes,
So this is item, clerk fee revenues, which is budgeted for 2024 at 4,400. You should
right,
think
but
it
we've had an increase from $10 a page to $15 a page. So that's why there's an increased revenue.
Attaboy.
So you're putting in 6,000? Yeah.
Right, 6,000. I'm
Anticipation.
considering 400 pages at $15 a page.
Does that include the records restoration part?
No, I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Dog license revenue, I've plugged in $450. I'm considering 100 dogs plus late fees. This year we've only had 89 dogs licensed. We normally have around 120, 125. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think we've been a little lax in following through. But this year, I think we should get back to pre-COVID and hold people's feet to the fire with penalties, et cetera, et cetera.
So did you say 450?
Yes.
450.
Thanks.
Okay,
The town gets $4 per dog plus any
Right.
late fees, whereas the state gets $5 per dog. As far as fishing and hunting license, I've plugged in 15 because most people are doing them online. For each license that we do in the office, we get $1.50. So I've just put $15 just for the sake of having something. Copy revenue, there's been a downtick in selling of homes and examining records. So I've put that in at $800.
Yeah, that's what we had too.
Okay,
What about marriage? Any?
Marriage license I have at $75. I'm thinking maybe we get 5 license, which seems to be what we've done last year.
the marriage license fee went up quite a bit this year, correct?
Right, but the clerk fees did not. The clerk fees
Oh.
did, the clerk fees did go up from $10 to $15 a license, but the
Oh, so you're
license
saying
went up to $80 from 65. So,
Okay, so 75, you said, all right.
yep. Birth and death certificates revenue, again, that's each certified copy is $10. I'm hoping nobody dies, but unfortunately they do, and I'm figuring maybe 10 certified copies at $10 a piece, $100.
Okay.
Right,
And that's pretty much all that I have to offer on my end.
That's
Okay.
great.
okay. I do have a question, and I don't know if I should ask Melissa this an hour later. This animal impound revenue of $10 versus the money that,
I don't
Yeah.
understand that, to be honest with you. I think we need to get a clarification from Wyndham Humane Society because that doesn't seem to make sense. Everything that we do, we're reimbursed by the animal owner
Yeah, that's just.
before they can take the dog out. That
but
was
we
my
also have
understanding.
somewhere else where there's a $700, we put on, the town was charged by the Humane Society for impound fees of
They
$700
do that when the owner can't pay.
when the owner can't pay.
And then you have to, and then they have to collect it. I recall that from years back, and then sometimes we'd get a check back from from Wyndham. Do you recall that? We get a
Wyndham
check
County
back from
Humane
Wyndham
Society.
County when,
There's a dog that goes in from the town, and
Right.
then somebody reclaims it, then they send a check back to you guys. They're
right,
supposed to.
All right, so we've only gotten to $10. But last year they billed us $700 because those were people who couldn't afford and.
I think that's like an annual fee that you have to pay.
And the contract
You
fee is
pay it.
$500.
500?
Yes,
we make a donation of 500, and then we probably made another contract fee of $500, and then there was an extra $200. It could be impound fees that people didn't pay.
maybe that's
That
what
does happen.
Oh, maybe that.
I didn't think you get charged for those.
I thought we did. I thought it happened in the past. Well, we could look at it. We'll look at it.
Yeah,
last
the
year.
contract.
Yeah.
All right, that was just one thing that I wanted to bring up, but everything else on this income here, we're good. So we're gonna move on to,
the schoolhouse revenue, that was updated based on the contract starting in July 1st. Because that number looks different, probably because there was probably an increase.
I have 20,000 in the schoolhouse revenue.
when I was
For-
doing that.
schoolhouse revenue. What's a schoolhouse revenue?
That's the revenue,
Daycare.
It's a
no,
lease.
that's
Daycare lease?
the daycare.
Isn't
lease.
that the rent?
Yes,
Yes,
All right, well, I wouldn't
Or-
call it the schoolhouse, I'd call it the daycare.
daycare lease or something.
Daycare.
Well, you can't call it a lease because technically you can call it a use fee.
You see?
You can call it schoolhouse revenue. But technically, you're not allowed to have a lease as a municipality,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
So you call it something else.
Bruce, what is the rent going to be in July first?
I don't remember it. I have to look at it.
Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna.
That's why I brought it up. I didn't know.
But you don't want to take the full amount of the rent this year.
That's
In the-
true.
in-
Why?
That was one of the
That's
things that we
implying
need to
that it should be less
discuss.
than the full amount.
It should be less than the full amount. We
Okay.
should allow, and I thought, Paul,
So
did
you're,
you come home with this number?
I get where you're going, so you're talking
Or did
about.
we
You
just-
and I came. up
We
with that
have,
number.
we pontificated budget, we hypothesized that if we
Should be less
should
than that.
budget 20,000.
That's high.
For
But
what?
only,
For-
that's only four.
Because the budget last year, we took all of the revenue and it was 26.4,
Mhm.
right? So the
Yes.
rent is going up, right?
Yes,
Wait, it was 26.4 for the lease for the year?
I believe
The
so.
budget last,
Is it?
for 2024, our budget is 26.4.
Okay.
So I assume that's based on the lease we've got.
Correct.
I remember the discussion. It was
Is
the
it
whole
based
amount.
on, it's not based on next year because it goes up.
No, but next year it
Okay.
goes up again,
Mhm.
so I don't know
That's
what it
good.
goes up to, because I didn't look it up. But
What you're saying, Samara,
I-
is it should be less considering expenses, which are.
yeah, what I was saying,
Yeah.
probably what we should do is put in a number for now, like something like 20 or 21,000.
You said that you thought that your expenses for that building would be $7,000 or $8,000 a year.
Okay, so then.
So that's what we were asking, if you
Yeah,
wanted to stay with that, within that range,
it
or
appears, yes.
I think that's.
I could review.
20,000.
That's how you came up with the 20,000 then, okay.
A list of, somebody did, I think it was you, Melissa, gave me a list of expenses.
Daycare building expenses
I'm not current.
would
so I
be
have
in
to
a
make
different
sure
fund.
I got the numbers accurate as
Right.
what we spent last year. and-
Yeah.
And consideration of what looks like we're gonna spend this year. It changes all the time, but
Well, there were last year's expenses, there were heat pumps and things put in.
yeah, but that wasn't, well, that was in it, but that wasn't really.
But the actual expenses, there's payroll, there's the maintenance, payroll tax and salary, town employee labor. That's
Sure.
about $1,000, plus there was $119 in supplies. Wait, no, the fire alarm maintenance was $888, I'm just gonna round.
and water testing.
And the employee labor was 1,400, so that's 2,200, 23, 24, 2,500 plus water testing, another 1,000, that's
Okay.
3,500. Plus whatever repairs and maintenance you wanna safeguard.
You said you're at 35. What you don't wanna include is the heat pumps, because that was paid for by ARPA.
I'm not including the
Okay.
heat pumps.
Okay.
Why would you not put the income from the school lease as a separate item and the expenses that are incurred for that particular building as a separate line for expenses? Why wouldn't you do that? To me, that would be very,
The
very clear.
The expenses don't get paid by the same fund, Guy. They're paid out of the school, but there's a separate fund for the school building.
Well,
So,
why- I'm scared.
so the idea was to take that revenue and direct it to the administrative, right? Take some of the revenue and direct it toward the administrative overhead, which isn't a horrible idea. You could keep it all in the school fund and do a transfer in and transfer out. Would that be cleaner, Melissa? To keep the revenue in the school building and not budget it and do a transfer in? It doesn't matter. If you're trying to count it against your tax revenue, you want to count that revenue.
Shouldn't
I
it?
would put it toward in the general fund and transfer what you want into the school.
School fund. That makes sense.
So you would say, the school fund would be 100% of what the revenue is, and then we.
No, the general fund would be take all the rent, and then you'd have your expenses and you just transfer the money over what you need.
What you,
The expenses
From the
stay in
general
the expenses
Stay in the school fund, yep,
Puts
I
100%
see what you're
of your
saying.
rent into the
general
general
fund,
fund, so that you know you're getting 100% of it.
right.
But then you're not
Yeah, you
gonna
gotta
raise enough
still-
tax if you're gonna end up with a deficit in the school fund. that you're gonna have to refund it sometime, like this year, we're gonna.
You'd have to put a line item to transfer out into the school fund. So like an expense line item, transfer to Susie's.
We'd
line
have to
item.
budget, we'd have to budget a difference.
Right.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, okay, we could do it that way.
I'm not sure.
That makes the most sense. I see why you're
Does
saying to do
that,
it that way. Because when you're recording the revenues, you record them all in one spot.
Mhm.
But as soon as you record it, you create a line item to move some of the rent income to the school fund. That makes sense.
So is that
That's.
make more sense in the way we used to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, before we kept all the revenue in the school fund
Right.
because,
Threw out of it
pardon?
and took what out and just kept deducting out of the school fund, whatever revenue, out of the revenue of the school fund. So if
Right,
you
it
had
paid off,
$10,000 and
yeah,
I
but we,
spent $2,000
but
on
we,
water,
yeah,
whatever.
but then we ended up with a huge revenue surplus in that building that we didn't need.
That's true. It was building up. That's
And
correct.
so then we used it to,
Offset
Take-
taxes.
no,
No,
we used it to pay for the
Excavator.
excavator,
Excavator,
which,
$20,000,
yeah. And
which
so,
had been built up. So you're saying that that's not really the best way to do
So- because we don't need that level of funding in that fund,
it? Because of the amount,
but we do need some money in that fund to cover
it's
expenses.
expenses.
It makes sense to put all the revenue in on the top line.
Okay.
And then kind of do what Guy is saying, like but you don't put the expenses back in on the administrative side. You put it as a transfer to another fund expense. That's what transfers in and out are.
If you did, I thought you were trying to cut back on that, but that's fine with me. We'll put the full revenue
We'll put
into
the full revenue into,
the,
yeah, but
Income.
it ends up in the same place because you're adding an expense line on transfers out to school fund.
Those transfers
And it
are
should say
expensive.
specifically transfer
Transfer
out
to
to school.
SLP or school, whatever you want to
Transfer
say.
to Fund B or whatever fund, transfer to that fund number.
Yeah,
That's the cleanest way to do it.
yep,
So the transfer fund is an expense fund?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
So,
so what
yeah.
happens is, when you have on the revenue side, if you need $2,000 out of the lease money, you're doing that transfer, and that makes
Yeah,
it clean.
but it's gonna be, yeah, and it'll be budgeted. There'll be like, if we're saying that there's, say, $6,000 in expenses that the school is gonna have every year, 7,000 to 8,000. If we budget $7,000 in expenses for the school,
In that line.
we're gonna put a new line item under expenses
and
called,
every quarter, 1/4 of that $6,000 will
Well,
be transferred
it
into
could be
that.
done quarterly, it could be done every time she does the rent. You could just do a memorized journal entry and do it all at once.
Every time you do the rent, you mean?
Every time you record the rent, just do it at the same time.
How much you want though? You're gonna want to do
Well,
quite a
you
bit.
take, like, say it's $7,000 and divide it by 12 and move it every month.
Yeah. You can either do
Or you
quarterly
could wait till
quarterly
the end of
or-
the
Oh,
year
so-
and move it at the end of the year. But
Yeah,
But
but
it's
it's doing the
budgeted
other one
for.
with the highway.
So what's the
Yeah.
number that?
Yeah, whatever.
Do you need the number for the rent lease for,
I have it at my house, I don't have
I've got it
here.
right now.
Do you?
No, we got it now,
Yeah.
go ahead, sure.
28.8.
And then you just take the expenses.
28.
28.8 is what's going in.
Right up
Is
there.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, from July 1 of
So it's possible that
2024.
we could have
So what's
more
the
money in the expense
$28,000
fund.
is the revenue
$28,000?
anticipated,
Is the
but
revenue.
28.
28.8,
28.8 is anticipated.
28, comma,
800.
800.
Yeah.
800, okay.
And then on the expense, new line on expenses will be somewhere here, and it will be transfer out to SLP or transfer
Sure.
out.
Daycare.
That'll be
To-
fluid relatively, because it's not a solid number. What I'm saying is, the
It's gonna be-
expenses that are taken out
But
of that,
will, it doesn't, we won't
It's a guess.
we're not transferring the actual expenses.
you're only setting a budget for.
We're
that.
only setting
I understand.
a budget
Understand.
for how much money gets transferred to pay their expenses.
I'm just trying to understand.
Transfer out to schoolhouse fund. Except it'll be the number of the fund.
Okay, that makes sense. All right,
And how much should that expense number be? Do you want to transfer 7,000 over the course of a year or 8,000?
And you-
I would be comfortable if you put 10,000 because there are a number of fees that are going up between the fire department, not the fire code 3, the different water permits. We have a lot of expenses, and to me, that would be a safe number that even if we didn't reach that number, it would be comfortable rather than playing catch up.
That would be conservative.
That's not conservative.
No, you take 10,000 out,
I'm not sure.
so that'd leave
Sorry
you
for
with
not giving
18,000.
a fair number, but I think I'm gonna point to Melissa, and if you give me what the previous year's expenses were, other than what happened with the heat pumps, I could probably give you
I have
a
them.
little bit more honest number based on what I've done in that.
Well, we have them mostly, Bruce.
That's okay.
It's here.
Is
There
that the
were,
3,500 that you came up with?
I was up to one, I don't know how much of repair and maintenance, how much there was capital improvement was 20,000. I assume that's the heat pumps.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds like the transfer from Marco. Yes, that's.
No, that's not a transfer. The actual expense for the heat, capital expense improvement, there was $20,055. Then repairs and it doesn't, it's just,
Doesn't say,
it
okay.
doesn't say. You'd have to find the AP information. In repairs and maintenance, there's $22,333.91. So call it 22,334. But outside of that number, there's 130 plus 218, which is 248 plus 1,000 plus another 2,400 plus 3,000. So there's 3,000, and I would take at least another 7,000. So call it 8,000 or 8,500.
Vicinity I was in, but it was an educated guess. I didn't really look really closely at the numbers and.
If you want
All right,
to round, just take the
We're not gonna vote
$8,800
on this
and
tonight,
leave
but if
20.
anybody
Yeah.
wants. to
Oh, yeah.
change
I
the
think
next-
it's changed.
next-
That's perfect. Actually, I like Stan's suggestion.
What's that?
Which was just, we have $8,800. Let's take that off the top.
$8,800, that,
Because
and then
that
20,000,
leaves-
It puts it back at what the original thinking was.
okay. So we're gonna look at, income of,
8,000.
20,000 as an income and, 8,800 to be a transfer out line item over 12 months.
Well, yeah, that's what it'll leave,
That's
but
right.
the gross amount of income is budgeted.
Correct.
Got it.
So it's 20,800 for school revenue?
80.
Yeah,
No,
no.
the revenue per,
oh,
the revenue is $28,800.
Again.
Okay. So
And then
where's this other expense? Where are you putting this other expense?
It's going to be a new line item, a transfer line item of $8,800
Okay.
over
Okay,
the 12-month period. Thank you.
yeah.
thank you.
All right. So, anything else on this for income now? So if we scan down, I think we pretty
have to-
much did this first page here. Let's just see.
We're missing, what do we have for town clerk wages?
That was increased last year.
Payroll
20
taxes.
What should it be? Should it be like an even 20? I have 25,944 from
Right.
2024. Right, there's no change in.
No
hours
change?
Or,
Okay,
Okay. So the only other voids we have were, the payroll taxes, which we can't
no,
compute.
that'll be
all right, so
calculated.
town clerk is the same rate and hours. Treasurer rate wages, we already talked about that in combining it with the administrative assistant, so we did that.
Oh, that's assistant treasurer.
Assistant treasurer.
Oh, my bad.
Assistant
What was the
treasurer,
town
they
clerk?
stay as separate line items, but the hope is to get
25,944.
one person
Okay,
for
so that's
both
just
roles.
the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the lister wages, auditors, we're not doing it all. Okay, the auditors is the town auditors. Are we going to ever have a town official audit?
If you want to spend about 15 to 20 grand, what is yours cost?
18.
18. Okay,
Yeah, I've never had one and I've been here 10 years.
the last time we had one was the year before they hired me. And that was,
Lucky.
yeah, I know what it's like. I've been on both sides of that table. And
Do we want to start to save up?
we
for
did,
it?
we should have a reserve somewhere that has money in it for an audit.
I think there's $2,000,
Not much,
Yeah, it's
because
not
like
much.
$2,000, I
and
remember.
yeah, there's $2,000 and we
numbers.
never felt like we could add more to it.
That's the thing, it's just me.
So what, maybe
$4,000 actually.
$4,000, all right, good.
there's $4,000 in it now.
I would like to see us starting to put some money towards this, even if it's a several years, you know, so I would see.
How many years ago?
Yeah. Can we put $4,000 towards it this year?
Well, you'd have to warn it as a separate article.
Yes.
Because it's a refer, we could try that.
Do it that way.
Let's warn a separate article for $4,000 toward an
I'm
independent.
sorry, where are you? What are you discussing at this point?
Right now, we're discussing the audit.
We're
A possible
discussing a
audit guide.
special article, a special warning to add to an audit reserve.
Okay, so right now, the budget is for 2024, $900. And
That
that's
is for our auditors, Frank and Kendra and,
Kendra's
Mrs.
still an audit.
Right, okay.
And those are for their salaries. But that clued us in that we haven't had an audit and we've talked about it for years.
That's right.
So we need to create a line item for that, right?
So
Since
you're
we don't
creating
have-
another line item for that.
It
gonna be
wouldn't, it
separate.
wouldn't go in your ordinary budget. It would be set up as a reserve, right? In its own fund or. on a
Yeah, I
separate-
mean, it's not really a reserve fund, but it's kind of designated.
Is it
Designated,
designated?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you add it to what is already in the designated fund.
yeah, it's more.
So that the designated fund would now have $8,000
Sorry,
towards an
honestly,
audit. And then every year, until we get 20,000.
It has to be a special vote. If it's designated, it can be moved around. So.
All right, so we will
So I
warn
don't know
us.
if you need a special article or not.
You don't, but I think rather than, we could see what the budget looks like and put it in as a regular item. We've done that in the past too. Yeah,
Since the school is town owned and it's earning an income, could a portion of that go toward?
it could, but we'd have to take it out of that, yeah.
That's what I'm for.
Like 1,500 or something?
I kind of am, let's pencil in $4,000 and then let's see what the tax rate looks like.
Okay,
Yeah, good idea.
all
Be
right,
sensitive
know
to
that.
that.
all right, so we
Because
could
that's
now,
the bottom
Pencil in
line there.
$4,000 and.
Absolutely.
When everything else is going up? Yeah.
Maybe not, but
Separate article.
audit, outside audit, independent audit or something
right,
like that.
all right, the auditor, word auditor, threw me in, that was something I had.
And if we look back.
How much are you appropriating for that?
We're not appropriating it yet, but
Yeah.
we're looking at adding $4,000 to $4,000 that are already in the fund.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's, okay. All right, town, assistant town clerk wages, I think what is that one up?
I have everything in the wages.
Okay, that's done.
And records restoration is in a separate fund now. But it kind of covers itself. Cause. I mean, it actually makes sense to do that, cause
in
the
the
other
records
way,
restoration fund, I'm looking at a zero. I'm not sure what you're,
on Fund 1, it's a zero, but there's a whole new fund for that, guys. Records restoration has its own fund.
where is
Which-
that?
What
It's a
page?
separate, it's fund. It's page 7 of 15. If you were in the comparative budget report.
Right,
And so,
it has $13,977.57 in period 12/2023.
I don't know, I'm not, 7 of 15?
no, the reason why it's 7 of 15, if you have, it's its own fund now called record restoration.
Yep, I
Which
see
is-
that.
Yeah,
And
and
I see 1690.
16.2.
1690 was the records restoration wages. What do you think it should be? It should probably,
I'm trying to understand how you come to that, number. I'm not sure
I
how
don't
you
know
get.
how, I don't know how they got 16. Oh, well, they probably looked at the 2023 budget and added a little bit to it.
16.2.
Gwen's
the
been
act-
doing 2 hours a week, uh, 2 hours a week toward the records restoration. She's down to book 20. And I'm not sure how that's figured in now. I'm a little lost.
Record restoration wages come out of the record restoration fund.
They come out of the records restoration fund, which
40, yeah.
earns money. You know, records restoration revenue is how much per page now on copies and things like that?
Oh,
No, the total clerk fee is 15 per page, but records restoration is a piece of that,
$4.
$4. So how many so it's the
So I'm
revenue,
looking at 400 pages a year for recording. So
400 times 4.
so that would be 1,600, right?
Yeah. 1,600 in revenue and approximately, and the
8 hours a month for
8 hours a month for times whatever Gwen's salary is. What's her rate? What's this?
16, I think, isn't it?
No, it's 2 hours a week. So it's 4 hours every
hours.
2 weeks. Yeah, 8 hours a month, I guess.
I don't know, she's 20 an hour?
Yeah. 8
Something like that.
times 20.
She's 16 now.
16?
Yeah, but she hasn't had a raise for a while. Are we gonna raise that? This is an interesting conversation because I was talking to people in
Don't
New.
branch off. We're doing
Okay.
that, Bruce.
No, I won't. I won't. Thank you.
I'm gonna do this. Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna go. over
Right,
here.
so 18 hours, 8 hours a month.
8 times 12 times whatever an hourly rate is.
Okay, so
I'm gonna say, wait, 8 times 12 months
96.
equals 96 times 16, 50, what
Times
hourly rate
17 would be
Times
1632.
would be
All right.
1632.
And they added, the change was 1,690, so this is still right,
Close.
this is,
I would leave it at
We'll leave
1690,
it.
leave a little, yeah, leave it the same.
we'll leave it the same because there's
Budget the
not much
expense,
change,
yeah.
1,690.
So
Okay.
basically, you're saying that when the payroll is generated, how is that money funded toward the $1,690?
It's paid
Because-
out of the revenue that goes into the same fund. And
Okay.
it's paid, yeah, which it's always been. I mean, it's paid out of the same bank account on the same
Okay.
page.
I
It's
get
just, it's just being recorded in a different manner, which
Okay,
is
I get it.
actually a lot easier than the way I used to.
Okay, there we go.
Which was.
Where did you guys put the 1690 though?
Yeah, we just rounded up.
No, where'd you put it though?
On page 7 of, I don't think I gave you those pages.
Oh,
Page 7 of 15,
that's okay.
it's called the comparative budget
I'll give you
report,
this page.
Okay.
total expenditures.
Because historically, we budgeted everything in funds 1 and 2,
Yeah,
so we have to adapt to the new way.
sorry, I made things spread out, didn't I?
Okay.
I want to make a little discussion, that I know New Thing does, and I maybe this is something that Brookline should do. And that is annually, they, stop me if I'm wrong, but, there's a 50 cent per hour raise on an annual basis for people who are getting salary, working on an hourly basis, correct? Is that what you?
And they don't really have like a set thing, they've kind of been all over the board, 1 year it's been $1, then it's been like 50 cents. $3, $4, last year it was just kind of all over the board. Some people got like $4, some people got 50 cents.
I thought it was everyone would go up a certain amount of.
Yeah, the last couple of years, they've been
No.
really all over the board.
I was talking to Beckley today, and she was telling me about Some of her raised some of her concerns.
All right, well, let's go, let's move along here. It's,
Okay.
here. We're still on this first page? No, we're done with the first page, right?
I think we're done on the first page. Are there any new appropriations for payment?
No appropriation came in.
I don't have the lines on me.
All right, we'll take a look at the second page. It starts off, it says page 2 of 3. Mine says page 2 of 3.
Right.
And we have, everything has a number to it. There was a question about insurance and bonds. Samara, you were gonna check.
Yeah,
About that.
so I think our insurance rate, I did start looking into it, but I didn't pull all the invoices. It looks like our insurance rates did go up quite a bit.
It does.
So I would say probably use, but I'm questioning the 8,815, Melissa, because if you look
Yes.
at the dues
For VLCT.
for VLCT, we're missing the dues. So I think that maybe there's maybe $2,000 worth of dues or something like that
I
buried in the
I think
insurance.
also it wasn't getting coded when the expenses came into highway.
Yes, there's an insurance expense to highway, some's in highway.
That is in there, okay.
So there is some in highway, but I mean, we'll have to look at what the actual, I mean, we'll have to look at that before this goes to the auditors, but
Yeah,
to see where they belong really. But 8,000 seemed a little high for me for just Fund 1 insurance.
yeah, I'll have to look at it too, because I'm not sure where they were being coded to.
So do you want me to leave that open, or do you want to say you want to move it to 6,000? Considering that 2,000 may be part of VLCT.
Yeah, well, it
VLCT
could be
dues.
two things. It could be 6,000 belongs to VLCT and another portion belongs to the highway fund.
I'm
So-
sorry, where are we?
Right here.
We're
What
on
page?
Page 2.
Yeah,
page 2.
Insurance bonds,
okay, oh, yeah, all right.
8,815, we talked about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then last question, I'm sorry, I got lost in the discussion with the records restoration, what's the number? 1690 or 16?
1690.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry about trouble.
That's okay.
All right.
I did get the Wyndham Waste, and Dot and I both got the Wyndham
Yeah.
Waste Management number.
Our assessment will be,
$3,869.88.
so let's say 3,900,
I would say 3870.
3,870.
Wait, that's the landfill fees?
Yeah, because we have the actual numbers, so there's no point in rounding
Okay,
up that
okay.
much.
Where is that one?
It's it's on the old,
Old cemetery?
it's
No.
173045.01.
Okay.
Landfill
Landfill
fees,
fees, okay.
Wyndham Solid Waste Management District,
And that was 3870?
Yeah,
3,870.
and actually, Melissa told me, yeah, after going round and round trying to get the actual
3870.
Wyndham County tax, which I couldn't get, they said it wasn't gonna go up very much. But I don't know what it was this year, but I did pull that report. You know, where I-
What's the matter?
Which one?
It's
Wyndham County
Solid Waste
tax.
Management District,
I think,
landfill fees, landfill fees. Landfill,
173045.01.
And we had a number of,
so I think it should be
Change.
somewhere in the $5,000 range
she's talking about something else.
for our
Okay.
Wyndham County
I
tax.
can look that up because that went up last year.
3,870 is the
Yeah.
landfill.
okay, so
fee.
it changed a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah, because I don't think that 288-150
The
is.
288 isn't right, because I think they missed a payment.
No, it wasn't missed. It was put into the following
It
year.
was put in the wrong
So
year.
I ended up rolling it back,
Missing.
but I know this was under budgeted. So I
Okay.
have to look.
Okay. So Melissa's gonna find us the Wyndham County tax.
okay,
Okay.
so we're just moving down, the law enforcement, we got the recycling collection.
What did we settle on? We'll settle on insurance again?
Insurance and bonds, she's going to check
Okay. Boy, okay.
because there is still,
Oh, and maybe you can, what are the miscellaneous bank fees these days? I've
They
noticed
just,
them,
yeah, they have bank fees now.
oh, because it's M&T?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting it, no matter what. I hate that.
I know.
All right, so we
So
have a
that's
couple.
gonna be about 270 again.
Okay, 270.
So, all right, bank fees, 270, but let's go up because we had a couple of other ones we were checking on. All right, we already said the animal impound expense. We were gonna ask about that. Should that,
Well, probably let's just put in 300,
okay, let's put in 300.
just to be safe.
Cemetery lawn, we got, okay, Linden County tax, you're gonna find it. All right, so we're going down here. Broadcast fees are 0. Bank, fire permits, we have at 50, $270 for miscellaneous bank fees.
Yeah.
And then we have our appropriations, which, we have no additional appropriations that came in other than what we did last time.
And Dot, can you give me the total again? Because I completely forgot to write it down.
Okay.
Sorry, it was 8,000 something. Minus the 1,590 that Seb's is asking and minus the 1,100 that North Free Library is asking. Because they get warned separately.
All right, I had it added up somewhere else, but let me go back and.
Is it in the minutes?
Just
check it.
Probably is.
This is the one I read.
We voted on it, so it should be.
Yeah.
What I've got is 8,000.
I'm gonna say goodnight at this point. I think, I don't think there's anything more I could add. So, I'll see you folks tomorrow, unless there's something that you want to ask me.
No.
Yeah, I think last year for the town report, you provided, the, animal fees, marriages, the fees for a number of births and deaths, et cetera. There's a standard number of reports that you submit.
Right.
You will be doing the same this year?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have to wait for the
Any
end of
idea
the
when you
year.
might be ready?
I think he
I
said,
have to wait for the end of the year
Yeah.
to put those together, but we usually have them within the first week or two of January. And
Okay.
I send them to Dave. I guess I'm, I don't know if that's going to be the protocol again this year.
Yeah,
But he's
you
asked me for that, and I also sent him the mailing list for the town booklets.
Okay.
All right.
all right, thanks, Guy.
Thank you, Guy.
Is there any specific
What-
date that is there a drop dead date on that?
Well, we want to have all the reports by January 3rd so we can get them to David. So if you
Well,
could get them
he
by
just
then.
said we won't have them until about the 12th or
We won't
15th.
have them till the 12th. Or the,
I think that's about when they came together, but for
Okay.
some reason, I thought they were sent, there were a number of things that were sent to me. I put things together and then sent it to David, and then some things went directly to David. I'm just I'll have to go back and look at my records between now and the end of the year.
You know,
Basically, I do the vital records and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was,
Okay.
and I usually send them to David, but if that changes, let me know.
Okay, thank you, Guy.
All right, thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too.
Vanessa, I'm sorry, I don't have my tally sheet with me. Did you say you had it in the minutes?
yeah,
What was that number?
$8,156.
Okay.
And that included the one, does that include the 1,500?
No,
So
no,
add 1,000.
excluding because they weren't separately.
Right.
1,590 and 1,100. Which is more free library.
Okay. All right. So we can move right past the appropriations as they are. And then we are on page 4 of 15.
Yeah, which is the highway budget. And then we had 46,000 in state aid
Right.
and 10,000 in a GIA grant.
Correct.
$46,075.33.
Right.
You want to make it,
Unless you want to round it.
I would round it.
That's the notice from the state.
Well,
46.1?
4675. 075. So, okay, in my accounting brain, you under budget a little revenue and over budget expenses a little bit, but not a lot.
All
And
right.
no Better Back Roads grants in the budget, just a GIA grant.
Correct.
Okay.
So I need to add a line item for GIA.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
you can probably substitute the salt shed, or add, however you want to do it.
I actually had it on the list, I already gave it a number.
Okay, cool.
I see somebody's already ahead of me though, did the same thing with ours.
All right, so highway grants FEMA, hopefully we don't have, we'll see,
No,
No.
we're not budgeting.
not much money for that.
Hopefully that'll come back this week.
Highway grants, Better Back Roads, highway salt shed grant, we're not budgeting for that. Permits revenue, necessarily budget interest. Interest, $100 again? If barely.
Yeah.
$100 for revenue in this particular line item. All right, as we move down into the salaries, let's talk about the salaries. The Vermont minimum wage is going up in January to $13 and some odd cents. Highway mileage is going up as well, I believe, to 67 cents a mile.
That's IRS.
That's IRS.
Yeah.
So as far as salaries, are we looking at a percentage, or what is the best way to do this? Brainiac over here helping out. What do we do?
To budget salaries?
Yes, do we want to look at increases individually? Want to?
Well, we should,
You got 5 on the list. so
we
we got
should,
here.
I'd do a separate spreadsheet. If I'd thought about it.
You got 5 that you put in your hourly positions, right? That have not been raised more than 3 years.
Are
You talking about highway salaries or?
highway or overall?
Well, yeah, I guess I was throwing it out. As far as, everybody.
Okay.
Then I would like to get a spreadsheet with the salary history. Do you have that somewhere? There used to be one in the file.
Okay.
But probably half the people have changed now. But just,
Do you want
we
like
could
a-
just throw something,
everybody?
yeah.
Because if we're gonna do like, maybe 5% increase or 8% increase, or are you talking about adding dollars
Cost
to
of
the?
living or something,
How
whatever.
does the board want to do I'd like to have some kind of pattern to follow.
It would be good to develop some kind of a system.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's always been so haphazard, except for back in the years when nobody got raises.
Right.
Right. So can we put on the agenda for the next one to review
Come up with a
salary
review.
salary, okay.
I mean, the last time thorough research was done, has anybody checked the VLCT compensation thing that they sent us?
Yeah, well,
I've looked
I had
up.
run it in and the wages we have now are in the middle, kind of.
Yeah, but the new one, we
Yeah.
got a new one.
The
Yeah.
book?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
How many people?
How many people do we have on payroll?
Five?
5, 6?
we have numbers right now, but if we're contemplating wages, we might revise them. You just have to,
Oh, okay.
if we're contemplating raises.
Raises, yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
the
there's-
treasurers, town clerk, assistant town clerk,
Everybody's part-time
listers,
except for,
highway supervisor. Those are the
Mark.
hourly
He's
people.
kind of,
Uh-huh.
is Mark considered full-time?
No, 30 hours, not
30 hours.
32 and a half would be full time.
So. Yeah, I would put together a spreadsheet. And
All right, I'll put that on for that,
if I finish the FEMA stuff, I can do that.
in your spare time, right?
There shouldn't be much help to do
No,
Saturday with this one.
First I have to make a set of armor, and then I'll finish the FEMA stuff.
Okay, let's move on down here, highway, if we're not changing anything at this time, the highway salaries would be, at 52, at 30 hours a week, 52 hours a week, $30 an hour, it's $52,000. So I'm gonna put that in
Okay.
there. As the,
With the same bennies, right?
correct. Summer highway
Except
employee,
mileage should go down. Mileage should probably go down.
would
There
think
might
so.
still be some. but
maybe 750,
that's
think-
generous. Yeah.
500?
I'd put in 750, that's
Oh, when
fine.
you say generous, I thought you was not.
No, I was
conservative.
just thinking that's,
Okay, let's put down summer highway employee mileage. It's $750, so that's a reduction of $1,000. Okay. Boy, my eyes are giving me a hard time tonight. Wyndham Regional Commission grants.
that was payback and we're not doing that.
Right, so, we already did that, so we're gonna skip
That's
down
gone.
to employee IRA contributions, you have that, it depends upon the cost of the salary and how many hours you work.
What is it per?
It's 5% match.
5% match.
Okay,
So we
Okay,
don't have a total for that.
no,
So what's the number there?
it's a 5% match and once we get a final, we can
So
budget a five.
we're leaving that blank.
We're leaving it blank for
For
now.
tonight. Payroll tax,
Just calculated.
again, that would have to be summer payroll tax for highway, would that, with 3,900 read, what we would
No,
leave
we
that
would,
open?
well, if it's the same and if the 3,900 was calculated at the right rates, then it will be the same.
Okay, but we don't, not sure.
So we should,
Blanket, right?
and isn't there a new tax?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's a new tax, it's a childcare tax. It's 0.44%.
0.44.
The
Right.
town's required to pay 0.33%. And then the employees have to pay 0.11%, or the town can pay their 0.11% also.
Okay,
So
plus,
All employees on the town books are going to have a new childcare tax.
By the
I've
state.
heard,
is
By the
that
state of
true for
Vermont?
elected officials too?
as far as I know,
Well,
Anybody
because
who gets-
SUDA is
I haven't heard much about it, I just saw one thing come
SUDA,
through.
elected officials are exempt from SUDA, because obviously you're elected, you can't get fired. So,
I've only seen one thing on it so far, and that's what it is 0.44%.
so that would give you a 12%, 0.1295 raise. It's approximately 13 cents on the dollar. Approximately. I took the FICA and
Boy, I'm there.
and added it together.
7.65 plus the,
I added the 0.044 plus SUDA isn't at about 2.
sure, let's see, I haven't calculated that one yet.
We have to look.
Would that be something that you could calculate for the, salary when we talk about that next meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right,
I don't
perfect.
know if you guys are gonna do the 0.44 or 0.33 though as a town.
Say 0.44 to be conservative. It's only 0.11 difference,
So 0.44,
So the town will just pay the whole thing then?
right,
I
Okay.
okay. that makes
Given
sense.
that we do no other benefits, that it could be.
Yeah, that would be, we'll pick up the tax on that.
I don't even have any kids in daycare.
I know.
Okay, we're continuing down the page. We dropped that. I think we were gonna ask about the highway insurance, Judy.
Oh, yeah, highway insurance is probably too low. Because
5,500?
that's probably why it's so high it's too high in Fund 1 and not high enough in Fund 2. So we'll have to reallocate that. We'll have to look at, I pulled that information, I just didn't go through
Okay.
all the bills.
So I'll leave it as asked on there.
So,
The highway insurance.
The
Yeah.
highway insurance,
Yeah,
yeah, we're
we-
gonna check that out.
I did, I got a lot of the reports from Judy that I wanted to look at, to dig into the details and see what they were, but
Right, and we dropped that line item on equipment fuel because we broke it down. So we are down
Yeah,
at the
we-
bottom of the page. Let's go to the next page,
A
right?
comment, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I looked up the MRGP fees and the annual was 500 and then it says administrative $240.
oh.
And I'm trying to remember if the administrative was done every year. I looked at several documents today and I couldn't find out which.
Well, I was gonna say 640 because I couldn't figure it out either. They had
It's-
500 and 240.
Yeah, so it's
So there's only
740.
one annual fee. And looking back, we paid 500 at one point and 240, but they've been prorating it each year because they've been changing the date.
Oh,
So I would say max, you could drop that down to 640.
Okay. from 900 to 640. Got it.
Well, yeah.
Because we don't have to pay the REI for another 5 years or
It's
the
two
NOI
seven
for 5
30
years.
48 dash 02.02 highway stormwater management.
Oh, and you're changing to what?
640.
640.
Okay.
And I have $10,000 for equipment parts and 5,000 for fuel. Does that sound right?
Yes.
We
based
did
on the past.
5,000 for fuel
Okay.
and 10,000 for maintenance and parts. And then we have to budget for our loan, $24,200. That's
So that's gonna go in instead of highway equipment rental.
correct,
Okay, loan.
correct.
How much is it?
24,200, correct, Sam?
Correct.
Loan, excavator loan.
Uh,
Okay.
I have written down your 24,000.
Yeah, that's what I have to.
There's
Oh,
24,000 for year number one.
Oh, and then
I had 24
You did.
I have both. I have a 0 and a 2 written over each other.
crossed
So
out.
I'm
Do
not
we have
sure.
a document? We can go check that out. Well, it's $200, so I think we'll
Talking
just
about rounding
leave it.
2,000 a month.
Okay. We put in, yeah, everything else has a line.
Right.
And
So, okay, and Sam's just gonna look at that one number.
so we're in pretty okay shape, amazingly enough.
But I do have a couple of questions.
Oh, and I looked up a policy for rainy day funds, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
We have to fill in the details, but VLCT has a template. And I just borrowed their template. And if you add that to the agenda for the next meeting, we can define our specific purposes.
that's 20,000.
I did
The
that.
policy?
Yeah. Cause I would love to see a policy on that
That, yeah, I think that's fine.
before we put money in it more. You know, we should know what,
What was it?
because it truly is a reserve fund.
Mhm.
You can't.
That was your like 8 years ago, you put $5,000 in, and remember that
So I have a
Would you-
couple of other things.
treasure.
Okay.
Let me ask this, are we budgeting grant matches for the highway department at this time, and how much?
Because there's $2,000 that we're gonna be responsible for the GIA grant.
So do you
10%
want to,
of 10,000.
do you want to like? What do you think? Do you guys budget grant matches?
No, so that's actually what we use our rainy day budget stabilization fund for. We have that reserve.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's bigger.
Yeah, it goes in and out and, you know,
That would be a good way to do it.
Okay,
Because that's kind of like one of the things, like when you know you're getting money and you don't want to have to raise your taxes. Actually, that's exactly what the VLCT
perfect.
verbiage
All
about
right.
it says. So we should,
and then at the end of the year, you just have to kind of replenish what your match percent was and bring it back up to where you want it.
Let me ask this, are we going to budget any money for capital improvements at the shed, at the town yard? We talked about supporting it better, bigger maintenance and adding an additional bay for covering up the gravel. Should we budget some money for that improvement? I also want to just throw out there the cement floor. We have $8,000 for that.
We still have that?
yeah,
It was supposed to be moved into another fund, but it didn't get to the treasurer 3 years ago when we did it, so it's still in its own fund.
That's 8 years, 10 years old.
We've done our maintenance costs of 10,000, okay, and the grader replacement, are we looking to?
we should put that into equipment maintenance. If you
Okay.
wanna like because the grader is equipment and that would come under maintenance.
Okay, so
Unless you think we need to replace it imminently,
we don't have to, Mark,
but I'm sure
how
it
old is
needs.
the grader?
It's a 1988.
1988, and how much do they run new, or new used? new to us.
I'm not sure the price of new.
No. We never buy new.
Used, probably 30,000-40,000.
So
Yeah.
I'm just looking that maybe we, again, like with the audit fee, that we might want to start to look ahead rather than the machine broke down and we can't fix our dirt roads.
So what you could do, you could approach it two ways.
I will,
You could do a special article to which is what they did when I first moved here. There would be a special warning to build up the surplus in the highway fund, for greater replacement costs or equipment replacement costs.
that's what I want, equipment replacement.
Equipment replacement costs, you could put,
Capital fund. capital
Every so
replacement.
many
Yeah.
years,
I like that idea.
Upgrade.
Yeah, try to anyways, so it doesn't happen.
The loan payment in June of next summer is $24,200.
thank you.
Paul gets surprised.
Okay.
Falls right on.
24,200. So, we do have a capital improvement fund. Are we saying that would go in, that maybe we
If
should?
it's going into that fund, well, capital improvement fund, that could be buildings and that could be equipment.
It can be.
Is that the one that had the $2,000 in it? It was four.
The capital improvement fund has $2,153.
$2,153.
Is that funny?
Because I think you budgeted,
$6,439.
Then what am I looking at?
I think there was one point that there was a piece of it over on this other side.
yeah,
I put them together.
So what is
There was 4,000 in this.
Okay, so 6,439.
Yeah, I cleaned them up and combined them.
Okay.
yeah.
6,439.
That's six.
Is in the capital improvement.
Right. So if the capital improvement fund is for buildings and equipment replacement, what's the pleasure of this board? I do think that the future, I want to protect future boards from having an oh no moment like we've had here.
Well, I think, this is like what was done in the past, that they warned a special item. You warn how much you think you want to add to this fund and because it's not an operating fund, has to be warned for a special fund.
Okay,
So it can't be part of the normal operating budget.
right.
So how much, I don't know. Something like add 4,000, add 5,000, add some odd number to make it an even 10,000 to get it, build it up by year. I don't know what you have in mind.
Well, I wanted to see what you all were thinking. I wasn't sure of the cost. So if we're looking at something that might be another loan item, we could always take a loan and then use the capital improvement and build it up after the fact. I would like to see some money go into it and maybe even appropriate a transfer out from the rental funds from the daycare could be used that way.
Could
This
be.
way, it wouldn't be a liability on the tax burden.
We're really increasing.
That's the kind of thing I think that would
I'd like to
be
see some total
its
totals.
purpose.
I'd like to
That's what
see-
I thought its purpose was.
Yeah, we have to see what it does to the tax bill.
I'm not
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah,
You're not happy with what?
Well, we're increasing everything. I just would like to see this whole thing printed out, read it.
Why
see
don't
the
we
totals.
get
too
some
much.
rough ideas of
Mhm.
what the general operations is gonna cost in terms of tax rate? And then,
yes.
cause you can kind of get a pretty good handle on it.
My concern
Yeah.
is that they're gonna be working on the auditors during Christmas break. And
Oh,
we don't have a
They
meeting
don't
until
audit the
January.
budget, they don't audit the budget.
Okay.
They audit the last
Last
year's
year's budget.
budget.
You're right, I'm sorry, but
So,
we're
Trying to
good.
put it together and give you a rough estimate.
yeah, get a rough estimate of what the amount of tax we have to raise just for operations. And then we can compare it to last year, which was pretty awful,
Right,
to
right.
be honest,
We're on
and
funneling,
see if we can come up with something that's not as awful, but a little bit more than was
I'm,
before.
I'm sensitive to both what you're both saying, because it
No,
seems
but-
like everything we're going, yes, up, up, and it's gonna be a slam all in one
Well, the
year.
way I
But we
see
don't wanna
it,
do
We don't
that.
wanna do that.
this is a hard way to do it. I really not into this approach at all. And I know we have to do it this way. But what I'd like to see is when we're done with whatever we got, print it out again and see what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
And see, because this is.
I'm gonna warn you though.
To be done.
I will just give you a heads up because I printed out a clean budget copy. Because I forgot, we did our budget based on our old chart of accounts. And Melissa has changed the chart of accounts.
Oh, that's what you were just saying.
So,
Mhm.
so things will look a little different, but everything will be there. It will just look a little different.
Good.
Yeah,
For this year.
Yeah, but it's,
Well,
but
they're
it
all
got,
numbers now.
Yeah.
they're all
Thanks.
numbered. We don't have to use up
fired.
the alphabet to start a new fund.
Just
Okay.
You know, there
All
were a
right, so I
lot of-
just, the reason why I'm just making sure that, you know, are we going to, like I said, match the grant? I like that budget from rainy day fund, improve the shed at the town yard. That would be capital improvements. We're gonna discuss to see what our budget looks like. Are we going to add, we have $8,000 to add a cement floor to the building where we store our equipment. That's not enough to cover that. I think we already talked about the maintenance costs and the grader replacement, again, to be found to discuss. Capital improvement, that was another question I had. You know, what can we use that for, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. We don't know, do you know if there is a surplus or a deficit from June of 2023 offhand, unofficially?
Not yet.
Okay.
I looked at it briefly.
There was no surplus, especially
There
the
wasn't a
highway,
surplus,
no.
except the highway, yeah,
You're
not.
just talking highway?
The,
You're talking
the general
Get the
fund,
little
we
cheap.
have to back out the education taxes still from last year.
I thought it was already-
Because they're running through the expense and you have to back them out because they're not part of our expense.
Right, I thought they were already out, but maybe not.
I don't think so.
Did we decide on seminar
We'll take a
fees?
look at it.
What number?
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
at?
we did.
We did?
I don't know, I'm not.
I have
say-
$400.
And we
You
have
did?
to
Okay.
see if we can accrue any of the delinquent taxes that
Oh,
are
okay.
within 60 days.
All right, so we'll talk
We'll
about
work on
that.
that
Yeah.
after Christmas.
Okay, after. I'll be home tomorrow, so you can call me.
Pardon?
I'll be home tomorrow, so you can call me about it.
Oh, okay.
I also wanted to know, you know, are we looking at budgeting any specifics for the meeting house? We're looking at
No.
the town hall improvements?
No.
We're looking at your hazard, your,
No,
okay?
because we're waiting to see if we can get money through the MERP grants.
Good. And hazard mitigation plans?
Do you need money to budget?
I
for
don't-
hazard? I don't
Well,
know.
we've got a $10,000 grant, and I think the contract was for less than that. But I think there's a 20% match there too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So we're talking another $2,000 you might have to come up with if it's,
But
The
if
bid
that
was
comes
pretty
out of-
close to
if that comes
10,000.
out of the rainy day fund, that's fine. I think we should, the rainy
So no
day fund
budget
needs to
for
be
that?
budgeted a little bit this year as well, because we are less than our 15%. So I would like to see at least another $10,000, if not more, go into that fund.
Asian Day
We've
Fund.
already cut out $100,000. We cut
You
out
keep-
I don't know what you mean.
$100,000 already.
I don't-
Yeah, but we're
What are you
due to
talking
get,
What
you
are you
guys
talking
are forgetting, we're due to get over $100,000 back from the
Hopefully.
2021.
Right.
I,
Come on, a little too fast, a little.
How much?
172,000
approximately,
approximately,
I have,
if it's all obligated,
if it's all obligated.
Okay,
on these two projects.
all right.
So,
All right, I just didn't want to run into and leave another board with, you know, financial.
Are you, you're familiar with the obligation process and so forth?
They're not
Yeah,
obligated yet,
Right.
they
that's what I-
will be.
yeah,
Okay,
so that's what I'm saying, if they're both obligated with the whole amount.
okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
looked at, yeah, this is just so you can see, I can just, I printed out.
Thank you for all the work you've done on that, by the way.
Just to let people see, just for the one you finished.
Which one, Hollandville?
Oh no, this isn't Holland Hill. We have to look at this one. So never mind. I won't hand you that.
Yeah, if it's not $160,000 roughly, then it's not.
It's
accurate.
152,000. Don't hand it out yet. Okay.
It's gone up.
Got it. It's gone up.
All right, so
Good.
we're good right now with our budget. We have a couple of things to tie together at their January 3rd meeting, if correct? And we can move on to the next agenda item, unless
Which is-
anybody has anything else to ask Melissa.
So this is gonna be reprinted or do we have to?
Yes, it'll be reprinted.
Okay.
I'll do this with them tomorrow.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
I know
much.
it's a little up and down and that, I hate dealing with other people's money.
Here, here, I'll
But
agree
the
with that.
liabilities and the responsibilities weighs heavily.
And I'll see you Saturday morning.
7:30.
I know.
I can take my glasses off now.
I have to start Christmas shopping Saturday, so, won't be-
No, we'll be out. I have to finish up.
Okay, so the next,
Thank you for all your work.
Bye.
Bye, Melissa.
Don't finish this.
All right, so the next item is to review, requested changes to the contract for the Brookline Meeting House Foundation work. I received in the email today from, Stan, a updated work change order for addendum F to
Yeah.
Kerry Bourne's contract, where it was identified that the cost of the vapor barrier materials and installation of labor increased from $300 to $582. The cost of materials and labor for the sill replacement was $1,250. And so I think we voted and agreed that that is why it's on this form, and that once the contractor and the town sign off on this, I think tonight the town's gonna sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, on those two
Oh, the
increases.
two,
One
Yeah.
correction.
1,800, right?
The project original completion date on the contract, I had put in December 31,
Oh.
2023. It's actually December 31, 2024. So the copy of, I printed out a new one
Okay,
with the correction, and
Okay.
there was another correction as well.
okay,
And I fixed that.
okay.
So the original budget amount, that has not changed. So the project total cost in bold for number 2, which is on page 2,
Yeah,
turns out to be $34,632.
yeah,
Right,
that's what mine says.
okay,
Okay, good.
all right. And so I can sign
So
for
this
the
is the-
town, since we've already voted on it, everybody has
Yeah,
seen
we
this?
all agreed.
Okay, there was one other request before I do sign it, in case we need to add item C. And this was a request for an additional, advance on the contract amount.
Most recent.
He was given an original $10,000 advance. And he wants,
You'd like it,
yeah,
it is.
but
Not-
I don't believe that the meeting house has the
You
funds
tell me.
to.
Hey, we could ask Melissa before she leaves. I didn't ask her that. I should have gotten that.
Yeah,
He
so
needs to wait. That was the original, it's not the original.
but she's at for work changes.
Well, I got that. but
Right.
That wasn't the
We
original
were gonna
agreement.
find out how much more work really needed.
We're waiting for payment from the
Anyone
state.
done that? I mean, do you know?
Well,
The
at-
problem is that the money to pay for this project are two grants. One is a federal grant,
Right.
ARPA, which we can't spend until the project has been inspected and approved and finished. And the other is a grant from the
Vermont,
Vermont preservation,
Preservation.
something or other.
and they have grant requirements too.
Yeah, that
can't
needs to be
take you-
completed as
Right.
well.
So if we were to advance and the project did not get finished, the town would be totally responsible and couldn't
Well,
use the grant money.
there,
I'm not.
well, whenever you're ready
Go
for
ahead,
someone
go
else to put input. We've already broken the rules by giving the initial $10,000 because it wasn't done to begin with. We
Right,
could have said, no money at all until the project is done. We didn't do that.
Correct.
So we have set a precedent, and the question then becomes, he's looking for 18.8 as an advance. And I have no idea what the meeting house
I
committee
looked at-
feels.
yeah, I didn't look at the original fund, what they have in their fund. But if they only have like $20,000 in their fund,
25, I think.
2025, that's too much to shell out.
Correct.
So I would, if you feel like we can compromise,
That's all I'm
then I
suggesting.
would say you still, I mean, if he should have read the contract and it's on here.
That's his
That's
problem.
right.
I agree.
We don't get our money back from the state until the work is done. So we're
So,
gonna dip
I
in
mean,
funds.
What needs to be done? That's
What
that's
needs
the
to be
question.
done?
Is it
It's not
finished
clear.
or?
Yes,
Okay, well, that's-
when you're ready, let me know and I'll tell you.
Question,
tell
how
you
much
what
has
needs
to
to
be
be done.
done
Go
and
ahead,
when will
Stan.
it get done? Yeah.
What needs to be done is frankly, and this issue is my own personal. He laid down the 2 layers of plastic, but where the piers are, what he did is he cut holes or cut it so that it's just around the post. What I would like to see is there's a tape, there's a special tape you put on outside of buildings to keep the elements out. It's around each of the 2 piers. Ask him to put tape so that the moisture doesn't seep up by it. It's completely enclosed below on grade, period. Other than that, what he feels is necessary to do is on the very east side, the gable rear of the annex, and on the north side of the annex, in order to bring it up to the ground level that is started on the south side and goes, basically, he'd like to continue that height up and around that addition on the 2 sides. So he's got that he wants to finish. That will then need to be seeded. And he has an idea,
Seeded?
grass
Oh,
seeded.
like grass seed.
Yeah,
This
because
is
it's
like-
gonna leave just plain loam. So he wants to level the loam around the remainder of the building. And then he had this aesthetics idea of putting flat stone on the drip line around the 2 sides. Well, at least on the north side. I don't know what he's got on the south side. What he has done is he's put a trench in and he's filled the trench with small stone. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, because when you have a trench, water can pool there. And then does it infiltrate underneath the vapor barrier? But that's what he thinks are done, he would like to do. Level the ground around the building. He's got seeding to do. That's the second thing he's acknowledged. And thirdly, he would like to put some kind of stone around it to beautify it a little bit. And also, when the rain comes off the roof, instead of falling on the ultimately seeded ground, loam, he thought it would be nice to have those flat stone there. And he'd do that for the remaining $4,000. Thing he didn't mention, I didn't bring up to him, was what about sealing around the piers?
Yeah,
The piers, that's inside.
That's underneath in the
Underneath,
crawl
yeah.
space.
yeah, that I would say needs to be done. Would you?
Yes.
Well, I would say it needs to be done, but I mean, that wasn't one of the original contract.
No.
Well, it was to install
A vapor
vapor
barrier.
barrier. And why install a vapor barrier so they can leak?
No, what I'm saying is the vapor barrier was an afterthought
Yes, it was.
of the original contract.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I mean, I'm trying to, get an idea of how much of the
Work is
original
left.
contract was done.
Of the contract.
Of the original 29,
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
Eight.
whatever it was, I mean.
Pretty much all of it.
Pretty much all of it.
That's the thing, it's like,
But we can't release the money.
the finished
So we have to-
stuff is not done.
Well, we at the point that can be
Well,
inspected.
probably.
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's.
That's
the
what
question.
I'm with you.
That's the
If we
question.
at the point where that original work, the 29, whatever it is, was done supposedly, now we're at the point, I believe, he's adding on other stuff that we're agreeing to.
No, we had originally put in the RFP grading so that it's finished the same and seating. So that part has not been done. That was part of the original
Okay.
RFP.
Okay, that was
Okay.
my question.
Okay, so not until that is done, can we call the state, with, historic preservation, come down, take a look at it, and then we get our money. Until that point, we don't get the money.
Their money, right.
Yeah, it's clear.
So, yeah,
So, I'm
I
flexible.
don't see where.
I guess if it were any other contractor, I'd say, yeah, you gotta make them wait, because that's what the contract says.
What's your,
It's.
He did say-
challenging 'cause it's,
he
you know,
did
it's a
say that-
person.
He would be willing to go along with whatever the select board decided. You should know that. he did say whatever we decide, he will go along.
And
I mean-
I think it's simple that we don't have a lot of cash right now. We don't as a town. There have been times in the past where we've had a lot of cash in the bank. So probably we should just wait until it's done. Done.
And with that,
Probably, unless
With that.
there's serious
So
financial.
there is no motion to, no one's making a motion to amend the
Even-
contract to give a second
Installment, no.
installment. Any motion on the floor for a second installment for this vendor?
I guess I really can't see my way to it. What do you think?
We will be sending a check for the additional,
3,000. Oh,
Yeah, for this.
Whatever that was.
but, okay, no
We
motion
agreed
on
to
the
that.
floor. We're gonna move on.
So I can put none under C on the.
Correct.
Okay,
And I will sign it for the town and then we'll get, him to sign it and then he'll have a check cut at the next January 3rd meeting
for what?
for the
The extra.
the extra,
3,000 or whatever it
the
was.
1,250 plus the 582,
Yeah,
$1,832. Excuse me, I should have read you that number.
Yeah. okay.
So,
Okay, so there's that original 3, and then the 1832, so you're gonna cut check for the 4832, or
1,832.
just the 1832?
That's what we go.
Because the 3,000 was an increase over the original estimate.
Over here, just right now.
Remember, it went from 29.8 to 32.8. And then it was indicated that,
Where is this? Okay,
well, the work change order first work change order that you were involved with.
yes,
There was a discussion of the $3,000
Correct.
increase for the total project.
right.
Agreed
So
upon.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that we should,
If somebody's gotta send them a letter,
yes,
and I wanna make sure the numbers are right.
okay. So I'm looking at it now. I have it here. He was given $10,000 and that's all we have. We have approved a monetary increase of $3,000 for the increase in operating costs plus this 1832, correct?
Yes,
That's what you're saying.
yes, and in theory, if we're not giving any more money beyond the 10, we don't need to even send that. Correct?
This is-
Yet.
So,
You don't need to.
no, we don't. So I guess
We could.
that's all I'm asking is, we're mentioning numbers here all of a sudden, 3,000 here, 582 here. I just want to know is if we're not extending any further money beyond the initial disbursement of 10,000, there's no money that's going to get more until the job is done. So I don't need to mention any of that.
I'm gonna say this. I think I shared it, I CC'd Stan as my vice chair. I wrote to Mr. Bourne and told him of the town's thing about the vendor, whatever, but I also said that we voted to approve the $1,832, and that we once,
But you didn't say it was as of additional disbursement. You just said we approved it.
okay.
So I don't know how to take that. that's why I'm asking so that we're all clear on what it is we're
I don't
intending
know.
to say and what we in fact say.
All right, let's see.
There's two ways of looking at approving it. It's like, we didn't say approving for disbursement, approving adjustment of the contract amount via the work change order.
So you're saying no?
Well, that's what I hear the board saying is no,
Okay.
not just me. I just want to clarify that we're all on the same page.
Okay, I was not, I was thinking that we had agreed on some of it, but,
I don't want to put words in anybody's
I
mouth.
think I may have just read too many pages and got my thoughts a little confused, so I take back what I had said. Okay, so there was an increase of a total of $4,832 above and beyond the original contract price that this select board will be approving, and
We did approve
we
it.
did approve it, and
We
that will
approved
be
it.
in addition to the balance due.
So his balance due will be X, including that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we do not have the funds available at this time to provide another installment.
Right,
I mean, we only extended out of the 34,632, 10,000. So the
Correct.
remaining amount is 24,632.
Correct.
right.
Okay.
So would you like to write the letter? Would you like me to write the letter?
Whatever you'd like. I'd be happy to write the letter. Not that
No.
I'm not happy to write the letter in one sense, but doing my duty as a member of the board, I feel that a letter in writing, I know attorneys were referenced in prior discussions with this from the other side of the fence, so to speak. And I just, want to know that he did say whatever the select board agreed upon, he would understand and go with.
All right.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, we're not flush with cash right now.
So we need to get his signature. I'm wondering, who
I was
wants
just
to
going
have
to
that
say, if
done?
you wanted to get the signature, we could, but
On the work
let's
order
talk,
change.
you know what, we don't have to vote on this right now. Stan, you and I will get together, maybe the two of us will.
Yeah,
Well, I
What's
just,
that?
I realize as long as we have the authority of the rest of the board to do what we're doing, that's all that matters to me. I want to be open,
it's fine.
everyone on the same page, everyone agree with what we're doing.
I think
We're
that-
fine.
Nobody feels left out.
No
We're
additional
not
money.
being insulting to anybody, leaving them out.
Okay,
No additional money.
at
Leave
this
the letter
time,
out.
but we did
Have a nice
approve
day.
those changes.
Okay.
And,
We're
and
good.
All right.
We solved this. in minutes.
We're good. All right. Thank you. All right, thank you. Sometimes it does get too complicated for me.
So do you want to sign this at
It's
this
next
moment?
time.
Sure.
In the event of, okay, good.
About this time, my brain turns off. Just saying.
How old are you?
I'll be 70 in June.
Okay, gets worse.
I've been told,
You're not supposed to
I've been
ask her.
told. Right?
She said it very quiet. That's not on the airwaves.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Stan.
Dot.
I appreciate that.
Is that it gets.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna move down to, do you need anything else on here, Samantha, that you wanted to, oh, the planning committee, because you are the chair of the planning. Did you receive the email from Putney?
Yes.
Okay,
Same night
so,
as our next select board meeting,
okay, so. I
the
just want,
3rd of January at 7:00.
oh, right,
Yeah,
if we can't manage, we can't do that,
no,
but maybe you could
I'll bear
delegate
that.
somebody else to,
Yeah.
sit in on the.
I'll see if someone is
We're on the
interested.
agenda item.
it'll probably be
Yeah.
recorded, so
Right, but I think
anyway,
they want it. So.
yeah.
Okay, so,
And I've read it, it's okay with me.
So new business, we did A, which is Marie Tattersall, the town report scheduled due date. I thought I had it and I didn't get it together, so I'm gonna table that.
Okay.
Survey current positions that will be voted at town meeting and,
Oh, yes,
and
okay.
Paul already said he'd do it.
I had mentioned to Samara that there
Oh,
are,
okay.
there's a need that I've done in the past, and it's sort of not hard, but I've got other things going on right now. That we need to take a look at the elected list and whose terms are expiring and approach those people to see if they would be running again. Because if not, then we need to start to coach other people to get involved, let's say for select board positions. Also, there are many appointed positions that are only 1 year, and we'd like to ask if those people who are currently appointed, if reappointed, would they accept it? So that it would make my planning for the meeting in March and April a lot easier, because I have to read through and reappoint all tree wardens and
Okay.
this and that and the other. So Paul, would you be?
Yeah,
can I
so
delegate?
when do you need that?
I don't need
information?
that until February.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah, February, 'cause-
Okay.
yeah.
We're
This
not
way
gonna
we can-
coach much between February and 3rd of whatever.
What's that?
We're not gonna be coaching much between
No,
February,
well,
and
so
January 3rd or 4th.
You know, the easier it will be for us
Yeah.
to do that, but I didn't want to say January 3rd again. Let's say January 17th. How's that?
Okay,
We'll move it up to January.
January 17th.
Okay, thank you.
The other item that came in the mail was from Marjorie Ray. She asked us about the selection of the type of email. And one, I know Bruce has a hard time with it, but there's only two formats to use. And one is a Gmail format and the other is, I can't think of it, that she sent us, that there's another process of signing out.
I saw that email, I feel
Yeah, I
like.
did
So she made it sound like the .gov was not.
It wasn't the .gov, it
No,
was
it's just-
Microsoft
Outlook.
Outlook.
You know, we should use, Outlook is so easy to use.
Love easy.
It's
It's
easy.
another email though.
And you can actually, right now, Melissa sends all of her stuff through Outlook for Newfane.
I would
And you
learn
can-
something new if we had it.
Outlook is so linear, you can't screw it up.
Well, I've
I
had
mean-
difficulty with it, but I'd be willing to switch if everyone, that's what everyone would like to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever it's,
I don't care. I mean, I've gotten used to, we don't care, so whatever people are more comfortable with is fine.
That's what I was thinking.
what should I tell Marjorie?
too much time.
Maybe she should,
Yeah, I don't know. No, well, Gmail,
I don't think we need to know by January 3rd.
no,
Let me call her up and talk to her. I'm
yeah,
gonna table it right now until
Sounds good.
maybe February. Okay, February. Email, okay. We're about to go into reports. Do you wanna
at
say?
this point, I'm gonna,
Okay, thank you.
I'll just tell you that the FEMA, all of Mark's labor is summarized. I've been working with Melissa. I gave you a sample checklist that I started. Did I give one to Dot? I can't remember.
Did you give me that tonight?
I did. I think I gave it to you, or I meant to give it to you. For 4720. You said you could do two things at once, and I think I
Yes.
slid it over your head.
Oh, okay. Well,
But,
don't you trying to prove me a liar then, huh? Okay.
I don't know, but I'll just dig it through. I put everything away again.
I
So
don't, I might have it here. Let me
no, you
double
might
check.
not too. You might,
Okay.
and you
Well,
might
you can
not.
email it, right?
I
If
could
need be.
email it, but here.
That way you can go home.
Look. Here. You can take a look. What I did
Oh,
is
I saw that.
yeah,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did give you
Thank
one. I made like, some-
Oh, you do like I do, you take them together.
well, I did because it was too small to read. It was
Alright.
too small.
Yes, I got it.
So good. So take a look at it because it's just a start.
Okay.
Because I think that it helps to see things on paper, to know where you're at in these projects.
Oh, this is great.
And you did,
Well, I
Well,
need numbers in here, that's all.
there are numbers. There are project numbers and there's damage numbers.
Yeah, but
But
I
we
need
need-
the expense.
No,
number,
you need the,
And that's what you're working on.
but that's what I have finally, I've copied all the invoices and I just need to put them into order.
Thank you.
And really, the PA notebook that Melissa uses to organize everything are great.
Okay.
So that's how you're gonna be seeing things when they're ready.
and you did all get the 6-month extension for all female public assistance category A and B.
We have nothing under category A and B. We have one category B, but it's complete.
I believe it is.
All right.
And-
It
and,
says it's complete in the
yes.
portal.
Yes,
And so we have category C. And you'll see what that checklist asks are like, somebody can start filling in, like, what are we asking for mitigation on? And I took a look in the portal and saw that,
that's a decision the
some
board's
things
gonna have
say
to
they're
make.
scoping, some things say that EEIs are completely blank, some things say they've been started. Happily, it's not like 2021 where a million people have put stuff in and we can't figure out.
Yeah.
It took me a while to figure
Well,
out.
that I hope to have, well, whenever you get the stuff to me, the EEIs have done as much as I can.
Yeah, and Melissa this Saturday, we are double checking the Putney Mountain work and then 2021 is done,
Okay,
officially done.
okay.
So, yeah, there was a tiny glitch with Patrick being able to amend the costs, but that's fixed now and that's been fixed.
Amazing.
So
Thank
you,
thank you.
Just amazing.
It just, I mean, Melissa is amazing. She's really thorough. I'm exhausted. You
All right,
guys.
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
All right, we're gonna move on to, reports and updates, highway supervisor, Everett Mark Bills.
Alright, so
Don't want to.
we made it through the storm with very minor damage this time around. There was approximately 4 culverts that had plugged. Was able to unplug most of them before any great disaster, just thick debris floated in. And I've already repaired the Athens Town Line one, with their town equipment. Let's see, I've been, doing some crushed stone over the soft roads. And today I went out and regraded over pothole areas and the stone that I laid out to, hope that it'll freeze into a good shape.
Good.
During the storm, there was one tree that broke by Howard Osgood's farm, came down on the wires, called it in. They came immediately. I was shocked that they.
I told them I was the emergency management director, they had to get here right away.
Jesus, fantastic.
I didn't expect them for a day,
Right.
but that was quick
Wow.
response.
Must have had your,
The new culverts on Putney Mountain.
ID turned off.
All of the culverts that I monitored throughout the day, were at full capacity of taking, flood water. And like I say, 99% of them, took the water. The low-lying areas did flood, and receded and left some debris in new places. But the roads themselves, made it through without having to be shut down. We had some more signage then stolen.
Oh, geez.
And I had replaced one sign. I looked over the bank in these areas where the signs go missing just to see if they pulled them up and threw them. And I found a round signpost with an aluminum top piece that clamps onto the road sign. And as I was looking it over, I was bringing it back to the shop for storage, and I recycled some of them. I noticed that the top had been cut off. At first I thought it was a hacksaw, and then if you examine it closer, it's one of these new cut off discs. They're like 4 to 6 inch. They're 1/8 inch, very thin. They cut faster than a hacksaw, and I'm assuming it was a cordless tool. And they trimmed one side right off, and the sign fell off, and they discarded the post and
Take it away.
and so it's not like they're after scrap metal. It's
They're just
somebody-
vandalizing.
Somebody decorating their room with street signs is the way I figured.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So,
Class.
another sign is missing as you come off Putney Mountain. I just realized it said to Route 30. And it pointed, west to Route 30. So I'll have to call that one in. The Clarks have filled their sand shed full. So that both bays of sand are now full and ready for winter. We're on our second load of salt. The salt bay is 2/3 full, not quite yet room enough for a third load. I had asked to replenish some of the 3/4 inch stone that I used during the mud season. So with these warm temperatures and the rain, the road softened, and I ended up putting a good share of the stockpile that I had over soft areas And so I called in for some more stockpile. And I guess that brings me up to date.
All right, well, we're hoping we can continue on with this, no more major storms
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, hopefully things freeze and goes to normal winter.
Well, thanks, Mark. It's always good working with you. I think we had a good, met up a couple of times during the
Sure.
Monday.
Yeah, no, it went well, I think. Yep.
Okay, we tabled B and C, building commissioner, Mr. Mello.
The only thing I want to talk about is the sing-along last weekend. I think it should be noted that Julia Duke did a great job. I mean, that was really good. I had some things I'd like to see changed in it, but basically to get things moving forward, what they did was really good. Stuff like outside lighting that you could see the parking lot, because once they had lights on the building, but you can't see outwards. I think that leaving the door open, letting 34 degree weather into the building wasn't such a hot idea. So I guess what I'm saying is I have my little things that I thought that should be changed. I think they should be done a little earlier, and instead of having food that's basically in the morning, I call it lard bombs and coffee. First thing in the morning, you should have more like macaroni and cheese, soups, things of that nature, because it's dinner time. I'm a sweetaholic, and I was in no mood to eat donuts and cookies.
Are you gonna write an email
Well,
to the
I
committee?
think I'll discuss it with Leanne first,
Okay.
And see what she thinks. But going down
I
the
know
road,
they'll take volunteers for cooking.
you looking at me to cook? You're asking for trouble. But anyway, I just had some little things here and there that I thought would make it better, but all in all, I thought it was a really good endeavor, and I hope it's the beginning of many more stuff like that.
I agree.
We had the summer thing in July, and we had this. I think it's a good start. That's all I got to say, basically, right now.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Stan, we have a contract. Stan, I'll let you, you're next.
Yeah, the contract that we had with Two Wired Guys was very basic. It actually didn't state a dollar amount, doesn't state repayment terms, anything like that, and it just says for services to be provided, computer services, period. And Guy was kind enough to send along a little more descriptive item that I included in the new contract that I may have sent everybody a copy of as addendum B. And then there's if you log on currently, you will see service agreement, and it indicates some basic stuff that they get involved with in terms of what they will do and won't do. And so I've copied that and then built it into the contract that I am suggesting as addendum A. And then basically have it included, as you note, two areas which I put in yellow. Article 1, services provided. I've added computer services conducted by internet connection and or equipment drop off at the service location on Grassy Brook Road, Brookline. And they have not really defined other than very general terms. So I've said services have not been defined by the contractor other than addendum A and addendum B.
Mm-hmm.
And then under compensation and billing, I've inserted the following. Compensation for the above services will be paid in accordance with email suggestion of contractor in the amount of $1,250 and approved by the municipality select board. Any work or services either individually or aggregately exceeding $1,250 will be agreed to in writing by both parties. And I inserted that because they've suggested $1,250, and I thought for the purposes of the town that if it's more than that, we must enter into something agreeing to that fact, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked if they would come to the town office to fix equipment. They didn't answer. And when I looked at it again, I noticed that he said in an earlier email that the options are they will connect over the internet and work on equipment that way, or you can drop off at their offices. They just don't offer on-site work on the computers. So, this appears to be, it looks to me like a compromise of sorts. It's including everything they have on their site and what they've sent us in the past. And at the same time, taking into consideration their suggested dollar amount of $12.50.
My question now is proper protocol. I know we've approved their, as a vendor. Do I need to put that we're signing a contract on the next agenda?
I would assume so if it's not listed as a signing. For this,
I'm
because there's
thinking,
no action. We can't take action that we
So-
haven't listed. So I've let them know that we'll be notifying them that the prior contract that was signed by
Okay,
the representative, Mrs. Mio, will be voided and that we'll be offering them another contract.
okay.
So
All right.
on the next agenda,
All right,
I'll just let her know that's coming.
Okay, perfect. Anything else, Ann?
Yes, I will update the grants log to indicate that grant number GIA 00274 is now closed out. I haven't done that yet. And then at the last select board meeting, we had specifically asked Mr. Clark if he would be interested in doing any kind of estimate work. I then went to 2 CFR such and such. It's the Federal Register item that's referenced in all the FEMA work as to what's required and not required. And the only party that they allow to do those kinds of things is someone who's certified and licensed to do it. So I don't believe Archie is certified and had taken any courses, so that's not an option for us. I've called the town administrator of Jamaica, who has a lot of work that needs to be done, and left a voicemail this afternoon in the 3:30, 3:45, asking him who they use and how fast it is. Are they happy with them, et cetera?
That was a
like
good
that.
idea. Yeah.
So hopefully I'll have more to add to that. And I had some issues with stuff that I had loaded in that seemed to end up in the wrong place. I called the help desk at FEMA and found out how to change that. And because I have not heard anything back from our primary person, I probably will call the secondary person tomorrow and say, this is where we're at. Should we be applying for a extension for any of this for
Well, we did get an
4720? Well, that's an automatic one, but we've got 5 or 6 others
Okay.
that we need to decide what we're gonna do about it. And
Okay.
that, in terms of not only one of the reasons it's not done is because I don't know which of the options for the mitigation, each mitigation hydraulic study has 3 options. What does the select board want to do? So
I
this-
haven't studied I have to study those.
yeah,
Have you
we
looked at
all
those,
need to do.
Bruce? The hydraulic studies, did you?
So unless you're abstaining from voting, you need to put the time in to look at what
I don't
you're
have
going
the
to talk
time.
about it.
I'm abstaining.
Okay,
I don't wanna be told. I gotta go to bed.
well, I know what you mean. I feel pushed doing what I'm doing, but,
This one's.
All right, well, we'll have to wait because we won't have a forum.
okay, okay. So, at some point, we need to come to a conclusion. I mean, they're looking for me to identify what it is specifically in terms of square yards of material, cubic yards of material, et cetera. And I don't have that knowledge or expertise. I'm gonna submit
My
what
question is.
what she sends
if-
me.
If,
tomorrow.
if if they won't accept someone like A.S. Clark to give us an estimate, how can you be more?
Oh, I know I can. So I'm not,
I think we're gonna need the extension for sure.
yeah, that's what I'm
And-
sensing.
And because we were waiting on a hydraulic study, nothing was performed. So they need to know that.
Well, all the emergency stuff, yes. We've done it. We've completed the job,
Yeah,
but I don't have the dimensions. Hopefully,
okay.
from what Samara's gonna give me, you'll have your hours, the cubic yards of base, rough base,
Okay.
fine.
and I can answer some of those questions.
Right.
And we might have some that we won't need extensions, we will have some we probably will need extensions.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, I went because I'm scared, I really am scared about this.
Yeah.
Their rules and regulations say, they don't care if they do care if you're late. And if it's not for good reason, and it's because you simply couldn't get to it, that's not an explanation that they will accept. And that part is scary. That's one of the reasons I want to call the second person in command for them, because I'm seeing stuff that says they may not even be bothering to respond, assuming this guy is in fact away on a vacation. The alternative thought is because we can't make a claim because we haven't done what we're supposed to do in a time frame that we
Alright, so
want.
so you're saying tomorrow you are going to collaborate on something sooner than later?
Well, yet to hopefully tomorrow, maybe
Okay.
Friday.
Okay,
So I'll know more then.
okay.
Are we talking 2023 damage?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So basically, they wanted to see it all put back pre-flood and done by now.
Yes,
And if
yes.
it's gonna be
Like
mitigated.
Ellenware Road. That's technically by their rules should have been done, and we should have given them the cost, et cetera, for doing that. So it's scary, I don't know how deadliney they were or how demanding they were on 4621. But, and maybe they're not,
We were in COVID and they knew it and there was not the vendors available, so they
Okay.
were flexible in
Okay.
that respect. And I will have to say that storm happened in July, that summer?
Yeah.
2021, they did not do a site inspection until June 2022. Okay?
Okay.
So we had our site inspection within 3 weeks this
Okay.
year.
Yes,
They did not do it until June,
Back when?
11 months later.
okay.
So that was the difference.
Yeah, and as I said to my email, I won't get into this other stuff.
Okay.
But thank you for your patience, and I'll do the best I can.
Okay. My select board report is pretty straightforward. I already covered it. I had questions about the cement floor, the rainy day fund, matching grants, equipment replacement, and just situational setup. I just will say that when we have the storm, I don't mind using the emergency management title to call the companies up and say, we have an accident or problem here, to get the crew down and help us. And checking on people, but as far as, being able to go and estimate things out, like I said, and opening up a emergency operations center, we didn't, that would be something we have to talk about in the future. Okay, are there any other topics requested for anybody? No, all right, so the email, pretty much everybody got shared that the planning commission for Putney Town Plan is next week, or not next week. January 3rd, at the same time as our meeting. As far as our agenda, the signing of the contract for Two Wired Guys. Discussion of set aside time to discuss the MTAP priority list. Discuss the salary guide. Development. Review the extension needs for FEMA. I think we just said that. We're going to talk about the rainy day fund policy. The due dates for the town report. We do still have to talk about the animal control regional policing programs, which I didn't mention earlier.
I think what I received last year was the selectmen's report, the auditor's report, and if there's any other report from anyone else that you sent to me that I then included in the other parts of it, the appropriations, et cetera. Who's gonna do the town report this year, other than, David's gonna set up the printing, but are we gonna go through the same basic process as last year?
I'll sit with you.
Okay.
I'll be around. I'm staying with my sister at my house, so
Okay.
I can sit down with you and we can put
Sure.
that all together.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so that's our agenda. Nothing else. I'm going to adjourn this evening's meeting at 9:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for making it in, Michael. It was good that you were able to do that.
Just rolled in.
Yeah?
Just rolled in from.
I mean, are you out of gas or you just, you're out of gas or you just drove in?
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night.
All right, I'm gonna put these
An
away.
intense babysitting.
Yes, yes. I gotta discontinue the stuff recording.
Let out of jail.
Stop recording.
Looks like the daycare shut down early today.
Really?
Recording stopped.
They're there till 6.
Right.
Right?
They took yesterday off.
For some reason, Fact TV didn't get a recording of it. I had to come in and download it off of Zoom and send it to them.
Yeah.
But you got a recording, right?
Yeah, I'm this morning.
Wow. I don't know what the story is.
I think, let's